Welcome back to another Club World Cup Fantasy video and podcast. Well, it's another live stream, and this will be ahead of match day 5, the quarterfinals, and we've got just under 2 hours until things officially locked in. I've actually not made any transfers up until this point, but the plan is to use all 4 of my free transfers, of course, because I've got 8 suspended and eliminated players, so I will be trying to sort things out as much as possible and bolster my bench as well to give me more options. And I discussed a -12 hit in my team selection. I might narrow that down to a -6 or a -9, but I'm very open to taking multiple hits in this deadline stream, so there will be a lot of moves made in the next hour or so, and I'll also be answering all your questions, providing team news, injury updates, and making sure you're well prepared for match day 5 and beyond. So Yasin says first, nicely done. Let me just see if I can get the overlays working. At least the microphone is working as far as I'm aware. That is obviously a good start there, but let's see if I can also get this to show up so people can keep track of their questions and comments being answered. So Easy says, hello Dylan, how are you? Also rest in peace to Diogo Jota and his brother. Yes, Andre Silva as well, rest in peace to both of them. And it was shocking news yesterday. And yeah, very young, obviously both of them, what, 28 and 26 years old respectively. So yeah, I'm all good. Hopefully you are too, Easy, and enjoy the deadline stream. All the best to you. And yeah, a lot of positive messages throughout the football community, which is great to see there. Easy says, should I wildcard now? Alex Telles, Dumfries, Igor Jesus and Pavlidis, their team is eliminated. Joe Bellingham suspended. Pedro Neto, I don't know if he will play. I don't think he will. So Enzo Maresca said that Pedro Neto will decide whether he is ready to play against Palmeiras or not. And there is the possibility that Pedro Neto doesn't feature in the Club World Cup again. So even if Chelsea go through to the final, maybe Pedro Neto doesn't play any more minutes because he was a really close friend of Diogo Jota. So he is actually, Chelsea are giving him the right to, you know, kind of leave, you know, because of bereavement. So yeah, that is obviously something that has changed in terms of transfer plans. I was quite bullish on buying Pedro Neto, but now I will be looking elsewhere. Cole Palmer, Enzo Fernandez are the two standouts in that midfield. And if money is no issue, I would go for Cole Palmer. But in my sort of scenario, I am looking at Enzo because I also want two premiums in my forward line. Easy says, I also have more players on the right side of the bracket. So do I. It's mainly PSG players. I've also got two Bayern. That could be a third with Harry Kane as well. So I could end up with 7 players from that particular match, and then the other 6, 7 or 8 would be from other teams and matches. But yeah, it does seem like I'm really centric on those two powerhouses in European football right now. Kevy says, hey bro, hope you're good. Side week in football, but looking forward to the stream. Yes, things do change very quickly, right? And yeah, it does seem like it's a very sad week for football overall in general. There's a lot of kind of negative news going around. Obviously, that one being the most negative of them all. Christian says, yo, chat, help me with option. Which one is better, Fran Garcia, Palmer, or Trent and Enzo? Personally, I'd go for Fran Garcia and Palmer. And if you have seen Christian's comment, let him know your thoughts in the live chat too. So I will be going through other questions and stuff. Obviously, I've gone for a few already, and the same goes for all the graphics. Hopefully, things do run quite smoothly. But let me know if there are any issues or anything like that, because yeah, just detecting a few, I don't know, possible concerns. So just let me know, and hopefully I can rectify any potential problems throughout this stream. But if you haven't already, like this video, subscribe to the channel, all that good stuff. And if you hit the notification bell, you'll be notified of all my uploads and live streams for Club World Cup Fantasy, FPL, and the Champions League, because I also cover that on this channel. You can check the links in the description for my Patreon and the Championships, further links to my videos, amongst many other perks. The Discord server, Club World Cup Fantasy League, and Spotify can also be found in the description. And yeah, it's a pleasure to have you on board as always. Very soon, the FPL and Use Your Fantasy videos will return to this channel. And in this stream, I'll be gifting 10 memberships. So keep your eyes peeled. If you're active in the chat without spamming, you will have a good chance of winning a membership for an entire month. So you can see my videos earlier than anybody else. Get priority reply to comments in my live streams and videos, amongst many other perks, which are all found in the description too. Let me actually fix this light. For some reason, it only happens in stream. It just absolutely, I don't know what happened. It just failed on me. So I'm going to see if I can fix that as well very quickly. And then, yeah, I'll whiz through the graphics and team news that we have gotten. That is the plan. But who knows with the things that are happening right now as we speak. So just load up your questions. I'll be there with you very shortly. That is if I can get this bloody light to work. Can I? Probably not. That is the beauty of a live stream, right? There is no recording, no getting that BS out of the system. But what I'm going to do now is talk you through the team selection graphics from yesterday and an update. Because like I mentioned before with Pedro Neto, I'm not looking to buy him anymore. I don't think he'll play against Palmeiras. And yeah, throughout the rest of the tournament, it's a possibility he doesn't feature again for Chelsea. And he was having a great campaign. But this was my performance in Matchday 4. So if it wasn't for the Hakimi captaincy, God knows where I would be in this game. And it did secure a small green arrow in the process. Not too big, but still, a green arrow is always welcome. As you can see, there's so many airplanes, so many eliminated players: Angel Di Maria, Lautaro Martinez, Erling Haaland, Jan Sommer, Denzel Dumfries, Rein Nuri, and Igor Jesus are all eliminated. And to make matters worse, Joe Bellingham is suspended. So yeah, I'm 8 down. I've only got 7 players available. With 4 free transfers, I get to a full 11. But to have some good options on the bench, I will need to take hits. It's just a matter of how many. So in this section, I'll talk about some potential transfer plans. But I have to say with the goalkeeper one, I'm less inclined to make this move now. And this could be one way of preventing a -12 hit. And instead, I would just go for a -9 at the very max, should we say. So if I were to make a goalkeeper move, Robert Sanchez would be my preferred choice. But is there a chance that Jorgensen starts? Absolutely. I couldn't really rule that possibility out. And Palmeiras could still score against Chelsea, despite missing some key players. But that's mainly in their defensive line. Nuri Garcia is a really good option in my opinion. And I would like Courtois in goal, but I've already got Donnarumma. And if PSG and Real Madrid go through, they would face each other in the semi-finals. So really, if I'm buying a keeper, it's going to be from the other side of the bracket to prevent that sort of clash in the future. And I think Garcia is probably the best way of covering Madrid defensively in terms of pure value. But Trent has the attacking threat. You've also got Dean Howson, who is a decent choice. But I think Fran Garcia has had a really good tournament as well. In the midfield, I'm looking at Enzo Fernandez now instead of Pedro Neto to replace Angel Di Maria. And Fernandes is playing as an attacking midfielder in this tournament, with Lavia and Caicedo playing as the holding mids. So I think that could really help Enzo Fernandez with his attacking threat. You've also got Cole Palmer, who's playing in different positions. And in this campaign, he's actually playing on the left-hand side, which is quite rare. He usually drifts in from the right, or he just plays in central areas. So that's something to monitor for FPL next season as well. And in the forward line, there are multiple strikers I'm looking at: Vinicius Jr., Kylian Mbappe, and Harry Kane. And even though I think PSG will go through, Bayern Munich are still a solid team, and if they have any chance of progressing, it will be because of one man, in my opinion, and that will be Harry Kane. But let's not forget the likes of Musiala, who's one of the best players in world football, and Michael Olise had a great season, but not necessarily a fantastic Matchday 4 performance because he was pretty poor on that occasion. So this will be my kind of provisional team selection if I were to go through with the full -12 hit. But like I mentioned before, I might skip the Robert Sanchez transfer and instead just start Donnarumma and have no backup goalkeeper and take a -9 hit for the likes of Joao Cancelo, Enzo Fernandez, Arias, and also Leonardo up front, Harry Kane, and the same goes for a third forward in Kylian Mbappe. So that means 3 forward transfers, 2 in the midfield, and several in the defensive line, which includes Garcia, which you saw very recently. But yeah, a -9 hit, get into 14 players, 1 goalkeeper. It's not terrible, right? It's not an ideal situation, but I think it could still be enough to secure Green Arrow if I actually get those transfers spot on. But let me show you a few different things here, like the odds and ownership figures and stuff like that. And first off is the goal scorer probabilities. And this is with the assumption that all of these players will start. So Mbappe is top with a 55% chance of scoring against Borussia Dortmund. Kane, Dembele, Leonardo, and Vinicius Jr. are in the top 5. Then you've got Gonzalo Garcia, Gonzalo Ramos, Garassi, Joao Pedro, who is registered and added to the game if you are fancying it. But I do have a quote about him, which puts me off from a Club World Cup fantasy perspective. Liam Delap, I think, would be a really good choice up front for Chelsea. Kvaratskhelia, Herman Gano, Palmer, and Barcola complete the so-called top 14, 15, whatever it is. And with the clean sheet odds, Chelsea remain top with a 40% chance against Palmeiras. Real Madrid, Al Hilal, Fluminense, and Palmeiras are in the top 5. PSG are 6th, Bayern Munich are 7th, and Borussia Dortmund are 8th. So I'm just going to let this play out because I did read out these ownership figures yesterday and they would have changed because I think we have seen in this game the ownership figures are volatile, especially for those who are at around 5% ownership or 4%, and they can rise above that threshold to qualify for the scouting bonus, and things do change very quickly in Club World Cup Fantasy. I found out the hard way, of course, back in Matchday 1, but feel free to pause, rewind, and all that good stuff, and if you want a full breakdown, then check out my team selection video, which I published yesterday. But after this is done, I'm going to move on to the fixture section and also show you a predicted lineup for Paris Saint-Germain against Bayern Munich. So let's do that right now. And as you can see, these are the quarterfinalists for those that aren't aware, but I'm pretty sure you have a good idea right now. These are also the probabilities of winning the tournament, and Chelsea are now top because their route to the final is quite easy on paper, but hopefully Palmeiras or one of Al Hilal, maybe Fluminense, will have something to say about that. PSG are second despite having a very difficult route to the final, facing Bayern Munich, then either Borussia Dortmund or Real Madrid. And speaking of which, they are third in this so-called table, Bayern Munich are fourth, and Borussia Dortmund are fifth, followed by Al Hilal, Palmeiras, and Fluminense. So these are the fixtures in order. We've got Fluminense against Al Hilal tonight at 8 p.m. in the UK, and a few hours later, so on the 5th of July at 2 a.m., we have Palmeiras facing Chelsea, and then tomorrow, technically, we've got two big matches here in Paris Saint-Germain against Bayern Munich and Real Madrid facing Borussia Dortmund. And you can also see the bracket here and visualize it a little bit better, but I did explain it earlier as well. So this is the predicted lineup for PSG. Donnarumma, Hakimi, Marquinhos, Bacho, Nuno Mendes, Vitinha, João Neves, Fabian Ruiz, Barcola, Kvaratskhelia, and Doué. And this is according to Kicker, a reliable German outlet, and they typically get things quite right with Bayern Munich anyway, but it's not gospel and they can get a few things wrong from time to time. But they have gone for Neuer in goal, Stanisic and Lima as the fullbacks, Upamecano and Jonathan Tah in central defence, Kimmich and Goretzka, Coman, Musiala, Elise, and Harry Kane. And yeah, pretty much based on this, the kind of big news is Dembele would be on the bench again, and Musiala returns to the starting lineup, and it would be a great set of lineups there for two of the best teams in world football. So I think now I'm just going to go back to my team and answer your questions. I may refer back to these graphics or at least show you them on screen whilst answering even more questions and covering more topics in the process, but I'm not going to make any transfers just yet, and very soon you'll see my kind of updated transfer plan, so to speak, but it's essentially what you saw in the team selection graphics, but with no Robert Sanchez as one of my transfers. Josh says, hi Dylan, hope you're doing great. I'm planning to do a wild card and I'm currently watching your wild card video as I write this. Is there any essentials? Yeah, it's a good question. I think there are certain players like Hakimi who you just want to have regardless because of their ownership, but more importantly, the points potential. In the last two match days, Hakimi has been arguably the best captain of any player in the game. So I think he's one of those options that could be deemed as essential. You'd also be looking at one of Mbappe or Kane up front, maybe even both, but I think there is a slight concern still with Mbappe because he was recently hospitalized and he didn't look great against Juventus, but he just came off the back of that illness, missing a lot of football, and it did kind of halt his rhythm because he was in serious form before that, scoring in 8 consecutive games for club and country. But I would say a Madrid attacker is almost essential as well, or one of the best options on paper. I would also recommend a Chelsea attacker, so either Delap up front or Palmer/Enzo Fernandez in the midfield. I would have said the same thing about Pedro Neto, but I don't think he's going to play now, as mentioned before. Apart from that, I don't think there are many essentials, but for example, if you're backing Fluminense to go through, I think Arias in the midfield, Herman Gano up front are really good options. You've also got some solid picks in the defensive line, Fabio in goal, Samuel Javier, Freites. So it all depends on which teams you're backing, but my recommendation in that video is to kind of balance your Al Hilal and Fluminense coverage and then load up on Chelsea, Real Madrid, and potentially Paris Saint-Germain. Also, do you think Garcia starts with Mbappe? I think if Mbappe is fit and ready to start, I think he will. And that's something I discussed in my team selection podcast yesterday. I went for Courtois, Sanchez, Hakimi, Lodi, Colwill, Cancelo, Trent, Elise, Madueke, Güler, or Vitinha. I'd probably favour Güler in Matchday 5, but it's a good question. Kvaratskhelia, Dembele, Mbappe. I'd go for Mbappe, and I don't think Dembele starts. Maybe I'm wrong about that, and Kick have got their predicted lineup wrong, but at the moment, my inclination is that will be Barcola, Kvaratskhelia, and Doué up front for PSG. Yeah, Jackson, coming off the back of the suspension, I think Delap will start again, to be honest with you. But either way, you could see a case of if Delap starts, he gets 60, 70 minutes, then Jackson comes on. You could even see on occasion, especially in next season for FPL, we could get less than 60 minutes for either one of them. So it's not that relevant if they start or not, but I think Delap does get the nod there and I think he's a good option against Palmeiras. Yeah, a -6 is good, Baraf, for sure. I'm open to a -9 or -12, so it goes to show that I think at this stage, depending on the context of your team, I think a -6 hit could be viable. Should I get Neves or Savic instead of Neto due to Jota's passing away? Yeah, I wouldn't go for Pedro Neto now, unfortunately. Maybe I'm wrong and he plays, and that would be brilliant to see, but yeah, it'd be understandable if he doesn't feature. I think Neves will be my preference out of the two. He's had a very good tournament so far, getting multiple 7 to 9 pointers. Milinkovic-Savic is a good player, by the way, but I'd favour Ruben Neves. Absent says Liverpool's not on the Club World Cup. If that is a joke, I didn't see the joke, to be honest. Maybe it got removed or something. I'm not sure what you're on about there. I had Jota in my Game Week 1 team last season. Really loved him as a player. Very sad. I also had him in Game Week 1 last season, and he had a brilliant start. Let's not forget that in the first 7-8 game weeks, he was starting most games for Liverpool, and he's a very good squad player there for them as well. Really good finisher, one of the best headers of the ball in the Premier League too. Neto was close friends with Jota. There are rumours of him skipping the game. It wasn't a bad joke. It was an honest question from that guy. Oh, is that what it was in reference to? Yeah. Obviously, this is a Club World Cup fantasy stream. People are going to be kind of focusing on that sort of thing. But yeah, I haven't seen anything personally that is in bad taste. If I do, or if any moderators see anything in bad taste, it will be dealt with. So don't worry about that. Ahmed says, my squad is Kobel, Svensson, Hakimi. I'm guessing that's Nuno Mendes, Kvaratskhelia, Vitinha, Elise, Garassi, Vinicius have 5 eliminated and 4 subs. What is your advice to me? I'd say the advice is to be quite open-minded and, yeah, take a -3, -6 hit, potentially. Even a -9 could also work in your case. Yeah, I think that's probably the way it could work out. But you don't really have much Chelsea coverage, so my recommendation anyway is to pile up on Chelsea a little bit. So it could be Sanchez in goal, Colwill, Cucurella in the defence, Palmer and Enzo Fernandez in the midfield, Delap up front. I'm not saying get all of them, and at this stage of the competition you can pick up to 5 players from the same team, but I think 3 Chelsea players, maybe 4, could be a viable strategy. Yeah, Valentina, all good. Hopefully you are too. Have 4 players eliminated, 1 suspended. My plan is to avoid a -3 and get Fabio plus Trent plus Kane and Palmer, or add Cucurella for Piquerez -3. I'd probably get Cucurella for a -3. He hasn't been great in this tournament from a Club World Cup fantasy perspective, but he bombs forward on the left and he gets so much license to get into really attacking areas there for Chelsea, so I think Cucurella is a good option. Yeah, once again, Gaming City, you probably saw it by now, but my recommendation is Neves there. So yeah, no worries there. Hello from Morocco, thank you. Bajit, hopefully I haven't butchered your name. Nigeria, we lost a legendary goalkeeper yesterday. Stuff of nightmares, so terrible. I think I heard about that, but let me know the name of the goalkeeper. I think there was also an actor who passed away yesterday. Mads... Wait, actually, I don't want to butcher it, but I know him from Reservoir Dogs back in the 80s. I'm not from that era, by the way, but there are some good films there. I think his first name is Mads. I have Gonzalo Garcia. Should I transfer him out, have 3 Dortmund, though, and 2 Real Madrid? That's an awkward one with Gonzalo Garcia, because he's been scoring the goals for Madrid in this tournament, and it'd be quite harsh for him to drop to the bench. But I think if Mbappe is ready to start, I think he will do so. That's my personal opinion, and that answers Ariane and Nils' questions. Not so sure about that, Ice-G. It's a great position for wildcarders to be in, but I think some people with a -3, -6 can match wildcarders. Obviously, there would be 3-6 points down, but is it really like the be-all and end-all? Not really, especially if those wildcarders have a big advantage in terms of rank over those that are, you know, activating the chip now. Michi says, I think he plays. Is this in reference to Pedro Neto or Mbappe? I'm guessing it's Mbappe. I think Mbappe will start there and Della. I'm not 100% sure about it, and the safer play might be Vinicius Jr., but I think Mbappe will start. Enzo or Arias, says Jordan. That's a good question. I'm looking at both of them right now. My preference, I think, might be Enzo Fernandez, because I think Chelsea have a good chance of reaching the final, so this could be a nice long-term pick as well. Yeah, I used my wildcard back in Matchday 3. I haven't calculated it, but I'm pretty sure I gained a decent number of points. But would it be great to have right now? Yeah, I think so. Ahmed says, hi Dylan, my squad is Kobal, Svensson, Akimi. Yeah, I did cover this question, Ahmed. Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm not sure what's happening right now here. That's a bit annoying. Okay. So thank you to those that have been tuning in. If you haven't already, like this video, subscribe. Our aim will be to get to over 200 likes as usual. And thank you to those that have done so already. And as I mentioned earlier, I will be gifting 10 memberships, so keep your eyes peeled for that as well. Yeah, I do have an update on Leonardo. I think it's probably worth going through that right now, but he was in training. That's kind of the most important thing to note about that. So let's start off here with that update with Leonardo. He trained today, and there was a tweet by this same page that reported it. So Fantasy Football Center, who obviously collate the information, they're not a source in of itself. So there is a newspaper here that say that he is ready against Fluminense. And yeah, this is the newspaper in question. It's from Saudi Arabia with 1 million followers. But yeah, Leonardo played the Man City match while suffering from an injury. Al Hilal also signed Hamdallah on loan until the end of the Club World Cup, which is of no use unless he replaces Leonardo. But I think Leonardo is in good condition to play. He is in training. Maybe he gets subbed off a little bit earlier, so maybe watch that situation. But you've got plenty of forwards to choose from. You've got Delap, you've got Paulinho from Palmeiras. There is also Hamdallah if you wish to kind of go there. João Pedro, although I'd probably avoid him because this is what Enzo Maresca said about João Pedro. Joao's situation is a bit strange because he was on holiday. Even if he was working, we will see if we need him tomorrow, and if we need to give him some minutes, we will give him some minutes. So I think he'll probably make a cameo off the bench, and he could be a nice kind of wildcard pick in future rounds if Chelsea do make it there. But yeah, I wouldn't go for him in Club World Cup Fantasy personally, but there are some updates on Leonardo and Joao Pedro, two Club World Cup Fantasy strikers, and my preference obviously between the two would be Leonardo. So let me now go back. So this will be the kind of transfer section. I'll be playing around with this for the next hour or so. Hopefully no premature deadlines like we saw back in Matchday 1. I've got 0.5 million in the bank, 4 free transfers at my disposal. And this is something I'm looking at for a -9 hit. So I don't buy Robert Sanchez in goal. So I stick with Donnarumma. In my defensive line, I can buy Fran Garcia and Levi Colwill. Then get Enzo Fernandez and Arias in the midfield, and Leonardo, Mbappe, and Harry Kane as part of a massive overhaul in my front line. Let me know your thoughts in the live chat. I think my preference would be Cole Palmer, but in order to do that, I would have to basically downgrade one of those premium forwards, which isn't the end of the world. Maybe instead of Mbappe, I go for Herman Gano, or I go for Liam Delap. That's something I am considering, actually, but I would have a lot of money in the bank if I were to go for something like this. So maybe instead of Arias, I could go for another premium midfielder like Jude Bellingham, for example. So I'll probably leave this up now and then compare it to the other. So 0.3 million left in the bank with this set of transfers, -9 hit as well. And let's also do something similar here. So I'm just going to set this up. I don't want to leave anything to chance. We have seen the site crash quite often in the last half an hour before the deadline, so try to lock things in early and have the app ready on your phone or tablet so you've got a backup plan just in case to make your transfer go through. But sometimes you just have to keep retrying and the transfer will eventually pass through and it will save. Otherwise, you will lose all your progress like I did in Matchday 3, and it cost me 7 points by not getting Hakimi in the end. So let me get Enzo Fernandez here and Arias. And I'll also probably put a poll out at some point or see what you lot think in the live chat. You can say which one you prefer. But yeah, at the moment, maybe these transfers would be more likely for me. So let's put Mbappe, Harry Kane, and Leonardo. Then in the defense, Denzel Dumfries and Aït-Nouri out for Garcia and Levi Colwill. Could be Cucurella to be fair, but as long as Colwill qualifies for the scouting bonus, I'm quite happy to select him actually. I don't have that many differential defenders or players in my team regardless, so that could be a nice little bonus if needed. And by the way, there are some people who have been kind of caught out or confused about it. For example, I think I saw someone say, why didn't Anton get scouting bonus points? Your player needs to get more than 4 points and be selected by less than 5% of managers in Club World Cup Fantasy before the deadline. So that's why if Anton only got 2 points as his base score, then got 2 points for qualifying, and you use the booster, that doesn't qualify for the scouting bonus there. Easy says, a lot of players eliminated, especially from City and Inter. Are FIFA Club World Cup players regretting not saving the wildcard? Depends on the context, because others may have had a lot of Chelsea or Madrid coverage, or they would have stockpiled on Palmeiras or something like that. It would be nice to have the wildcard right now, but I'll be honest, I'm not really of that opinion. I think if you can get to 13, 14 players of a -3, -6, I think that's pretty decent, actually. In my case, it's a little bit worse, but it's not the end of the world. Man City are finished, says, kind of got lucky avoiding City assets after the group stage. Yeah, I mean, they scored 3 goals, but Al Hilal did shock them, and Ruben Neves, really good option there, so fair play. Rick FY says, hello there. Thanks for the great insights. Could you give me a shout out to my friend's mini league in Cape Verde? We all love your your work. It's called Tennis No Crying Mini League. Thanks, mate. Well, I guess that is the shout out in of itself, but yeah. For those that maybe want to join another league, search that in the... Well, to be fair, I think it's best to put a code. Yeah, put a code or an auto-join link in the chat so people can join it. But yeah, maybe they'll come across it and they'll also be able to join. But yeah, have a look at that one as well. Hey Dylan, hope you're doing well. I've only used the wildcard chip so far. Which other chips do you recommend for this game week? Well, you've got 3 chips remaining, right? You've got the qualification booster, the maximum captain, and the 12th man. I would use the qualification booster now, the 12th man in Matchday 6, and the maximum captain in Matchday 7 in your situation. Philly says Caicedo is suspended and Lavia probably injured. Fernandes won't be playing an attacking role. Yeah, that is true. I mean, Caicedo does get suspended quite a lot, to be fair. And there are a lot of injuries and suspensions to keep track of, so be very careful about that. But the game has done a good job, actually, of updating the site. I think from 2-3 days ago, we have seen all of these icons to let you know about the players who are suspended. So Caicedo is one of them. But yeah, Enzo Fernandez was playing that more offensive role. I'll be honest, I wanted Pedro Neto, but now I need to shift my focus elsewhere. But I still want that Chelsea midfielder. I've been very bullish on that and also very consistent since the beginning of the matchday coverage. But yeah, it is what it is, right? I still think Enzo Fernandez can do well from deep, but it would be a shame if he doesn't play that attacking midfield role. And maybe with Pedro Neto also missing out, we could see a shift in how things look like for Chelsea in general. But I think you are right to highlight that. We could see Enzo Fernandez play in a deeper role too. Javier or Cancelo? Cancelo/Lodi? I think Cancelo. I'm also backing Al Hilal a little bit more to qualify. Lodi does qualify for the scouting bonus, to be fair, as does Samuel Javier. Jackson is not suspended now. It was a 2-game ban. So I think originally it was 1 game, then FIFA gave like a retrospective additional match ban. He is now available. Giuseppe says probably taking a hit as well. Thoughts on a -6 with only 1 goalkeeper or -9 to have a full 15-man squad? Depends on the context. For example, if you take the -9, who are you selling and bringing in? I think that is also very important, but I think both are viable, especially the -6. Valentino says, I have locked 3 transfers, Picares to Lodi, Dumfries to Cucurella, Haaland to Mbappe, now 4 free transfer, Esteval to Leonardo, or Brandt to Valverde. I prefer the Leonardo transfer, to be fair, but they're both viable for sure. Yeah, I covered the Leonardo one already. He was in training, so he's not injured. I think Dembele starts as Danny White. Maybe. It's a possibility. I wouldn't look at kicker as gospel, but the reports from several reliable sources in France indicated that Dembele wouldn't be rushed back and they're going to ease him back into things, and he only got a handful of minutes against Inter Miami in matchday 4. I think with Mbappe it's slightly different in Real Madrid, but maybe I am getting it wrong about those 2 players in particular. Ricky Rich FPL says, hi there Dylan, who do you prefer long term between Enzo and Arias? I would say Enzo Fernandez, to be honest, because long term, I think Chelsea will go further in this tournament. I think they'll reach the final now. And obviously, on that side of the bracket, it was the easier one compared to the other side. And with Man City and Inter Milan out, I think Chelsea would be disappointed if they don't reach that final now. I'm thinking Caicedo being suspended and Lavia not playing could be an issue for Enzo. Yeah, you're right. I think it makes him less interesting as a Club World Cup fantasy option, but he can still get goals and assists from that position. We've seen it in FPL on a few occasions, but it certainly does limit the potential. I think that is a bit of a shame, especially with Pedro Neto also being a major doubt now. Your prediction on the finalists? PSG Chelsea. And even though I don't like oil clubs in general, I'd have to support PSG on that occasion. Hard and hot at 12. I don't understand, says Valentino. What's that about? Off topic, but do you think Sunderland stay up in the Premier League? No, I don't. I made a very early prediction, actually. As things stand before the transfer window really kind of... We've only seen a few transfers happen. It's hard to judge, but my bottom three, and we'll see how this ages, is Sunderland, Burnley, and Leeds. I do think either Brentford or Wolves could be relegated. That's my sort of bottom five for the Premier League this season. But maybe if these clubs do good business, I might change the rankings and the order of their Premier League positions. Valentina says Bayern and PSG at 12. Oh, yeah, you're right. Okay, that makes sense. They are crazy. It's going to be hard as fuck. Yeah, it's something they need to be very wary about for the World Cup next year. And a lot of the times have been kind of European-centric. So usually, for example, in the Copa America from last year or from 9 years ago, they did have most games really late. So in the UK, you could have a match start at 2, 3 a.m. actually, but not on this occasion. It's very rare, right? We've had, a few games at 2 a.m., but we also have a lot of games at, 4, 5 p.m., 8 p.m. So it's kind of all over the place. But you are right. In terms of heat and stuff, it could be very difficult and you don't see the full quality flourish. Who are you captaining today? Well, it all depends on who I buy, but my priority is to focus on Al Hilal. So Leonardo, Cancelo, maybe Arias. I think I'm going to buy at least 2 of those players. I'd probably favor Leonardo unless we get any reports indicating he won't start because he was having some issues against Man City, but he was in training from the last couple of days. Palmer, Neves or Valverde? Palmer. Do you recommend the 12th player Mbappe, Bellingham or Palmer? Ooh. I would say Mbappe is my favourite of the 3. But you could do something like have Palmer in your normal team and then 12th man Mbappe, or the other way around, basically. But I think Madrid and Chelsea will go through. So irrespective of what you do in terms of 12th man and normal player in your team, I think both could work very well. Josh says, thanks again for your help, Dylan. Your advice has been very useful. Best of luck to you and everyone in the chat. Very kind of you, Josh. I appreciate it. And all the best to everyone watching, even the haters. Pixel Pusher 72 says, how about Guirassy or Mbappe? It's going to be Mbappe for me. I don't think Dortmund will go through. Is it possible? Yeah, it is. But in the last 2 meetings between these two sides, Madrid won 2-0 in the Champions League final. And last season, we saw Dortmund go 2-0 up and then Real Madrid won 5-2. So, yeah, I'd go for Madrid to win. I also think they can go all the way. In terms of ranking them, I do agree with the odds. I think PSG are my favourites to win, actually. I don't think Chelsea, but they'd be second because of their route to the final. And I think Madrid will be top 3, to be fair. Piquerez to Reece James for a hit. For a hit is interesting because James doesn't guarantee you 60-plus minutes, which can be a big issue in terms of securing the clean sheet points and also the the appearance point. I would probably say yes, I'd go for it, but it's not a must. David Johnston says, found your content during Club World Cup and just want to say a big thank you for the quality content. Very kind of you. I appreciate it. And that's the good thing about these kind of fantasy games. The Euros last summer, for example, it kind of introduces, my videos and live streams to new people and expanding the reach. So thank you very much. Captain Cucurella or Delap? From the Chelsea-Palmeiras game, I would favour Delap as a captaincy option, but you can captain a Fluminense or Al Hilal player first. Then you can switch it to the Chelsea-Palmeiras player. And then if you're not happy with your scores, you can switch it to a Bayern Munich or PSG player. The same goes for the last game as well. By the way, I lead your mini-league. Nicely done, FPL Vula. How about PSG versus Madrid final? That can't happen because they're both on the same side of the bracket. Let me just show you very quickly. It was something I discussed earlier in this stream. So if we go to, let me just skim forward here. So yeah, as you can see here in this graphic, the winner of PSG versus Bayern Munich will face Dortmund or Real Madrid in the semi-finals for Matchday 6. So there's no way that PSG will face Madrid in the final. It just can't happen. I think the most likely final is PSG-Chelsea. Could it be Real Madrid? Yeah, of course it can. So could Bayern Munich. But I think from the left side of the bracket, Chelsea are the clear standouts to go through to the final. But hopefully they lose. That'd be great. 12-man recommendation. Well, in my thumbnail team, and you might be like, what are you talking about? Basically, I made a team just to kind of do the thumbnails for my channel, and it's doing quite well. In that team, I've got Vinicius Jr. as my 12th man, so I think that could stand out quite well. The same goes for Mbappe. Bellingham is a decent option, but I would rank him lower than the other two. Cole Palmer. Yeah. I think I'd probably say a Madrid attacker, so Mbappe or Vinicius, depending on who you have in your normal team, because you can't 12-man a player that you already have in your squad. Badiashile or Tosin Adarabioyo, who do you think is going to start? I mean, it could be neither, but I think it'll be Tosin Adarabioyo alongside Levi Colwill. Yeah. Then Cucurella and James as the fullbacks. Faris says Sommer, Dumfries, Aït-Nouri, Di Maria, Bellingham, Esposito, Haaland, -6 or 9. If -6, they have Sommer or Bellingham. Apologies. I'm guessing that's Joe Bellingham, isn't it? Yeah. I'd rather do the midfielder transfer, assuming that you have a goalkeeper. So if you've got Sommer and Donnarumma, I'd probably just stick with Donnarumma as your goalkeeper and focus your transfers on the outfield positions, which is probably what I'm going to do, actually. Yeah, all good, Fenerbahce. Hopefully you're doing well too. I transferred Piquerez in a few days ago just to learn afterwards he is suspended. Yeah, it's something I discussed in my best wildcard team video to highlight. It's something that caught me off guard a little bit before that in the best team video. So yeah, be very careful about the suspensions and stuff, but it's all, you know, updated on the app and the website. You can see the players that are unavailable. Yeah, Michael Madsen, yeah. Yeah. I got him confused with, in terms of the name with Mads Mikkelsen for a second, but I don't want to jinx him. So, yeah, Michael Madsen, very good actor. He was also in GTA 3, actually, if I'm not mistaken. Think I may wildcard this week. Have multiple players out already. Just seems easier now. Oh, yeah, absolutely. My recommendation to those with the wildcard is to use it now. It just depends on your remaining chips and your situation, but I think the wildcard in Matchday 5 looks like a really good time to use it. Richard Millichip says Haaland, Igor Jesus, Foden, Dumfries to Mbappe, Leonardo, Enzo, Trent for 4 free transfers gives me 10 players, considering up to a -12. Please rank these. Aït-Nouri to Cancelo, Telles to Freitas, Mateus Nunes to Arias, Sommer to Fabio. Okay, so if you have a goalkeeper already, and you don't need to transfer out Sommer to get a full starting 11, then I would focus on the other transfers instead. And the priority for me would be Mateus Nunes to Arias. Then it would be, I think, Aït-Nouri to Cancelo, and then Telles to Freitas. Now, that might seem contradictory because I do see it as a 50-50 tie, and it could go either way, but I do slightly favour Al Hilal a little bit more. So based on that, you could argue that Cancelo should be the #1 transfer for you, but having him and Arias is still a good option because you guarantee a player for Matchday 6, and you've also got 2 of the best players from their respective teams, right? So, yeah, I think Freitas will be 3rd. Sommer to Fabio will be 4th, assuming that you have a goalkeeper already there, Richard. Replacement for Job depends on your price tag, but Ruben Neves, Enzo Fernandez, Arias will be up there. I'd probably be looking at one of Neves or Arias at the moment. It's really close, though. I'm still quite bullish on Enzo Fernandez, to be honest, but yeah, the fact that Caicedo's injured or suspended and Lavia's injured, that does put me off a little bit. Svensson has been a revelation. Not for me. I sold him in Matchday 3 and he scored, and he did nothing when I got him back in on Matchday 4. As for Guirassy, he's the absolute opposite, the little prick, but what can we do? Lo saco a Dembele y lo pongo a Doué o Barcola. Y creo que sí, porque, mira, no te puedo garantizar que Dembele va a jugar el partido o empezar, pero yo creo que va a ser Barcola, Kvaratskhelia y Due. Tell me a Madrid good pick. Well, I mentioned a lot of them throughout the stream, mate. Mbappe, Vinicius, Bellingham, Fran Garcia, Thibaut Courtois. Those are my 5 favourites from Real Madrid. If I had to kind of like rank them specifically in order, it'd be Mbappe first, assuming that he's ready to start. I would say Fran Garcia. Yeah, he might be second, actually. Vinicius. Yeah, Vinicius in third. Jude Bellingham fourth. And Thibaut Courtois in fifth. Sad about Guirassy. I sold him just before he got braced. Yeah, join the club. I absolutely hate that guy in Club World Cup and UCL Fantasy. Thank you, Anish, for being a member for 4 months. Hey, Dylan, your predictions for the Al Hilal match? Yeah, I'm going to say 2-1 Al Hilal. Yeah, 2-1 Al Hilal. Difficult to say, though, because I think it's probably the toughest game to call out of all of them. And you are getting shocks, you know, from every single one. But I personally have more confidence in PSG, Madrid, and Chelsea going through. With this one, I'm almost 50-50, but I'm going to say Al Hilal. Thoughts on getting Joao Pedro in early? Yeah, I'd probably not go for it personally because even at Brighton, he missed a lot of weeks and months because of disciplinary issues. He got into a fight with a teammate there, and he was basically removed from the squad. So I don't think his match sharpness will be quite there yet. And I also think Delap will start up front, and Pedro will be kind of eased into it. I read out a quote earlier by Maresca, which indicates the same thing. So I'm probably against that sort of pick right now. The deadline will be at 7 PM in the UK, so we've still got over an hour left, assuming that they don't balls things up again. So yeah, I did show this bracket for quite a while. Let me go back to the transfer section, and let's see if I can put a poll out successfully. That'd be nice. Atlanta Stadium is covered and has AC, so heat shouldn't be an issue. That's a good thing, but more so about the players, right? Unless it reaches them as well, which is fair enough. I'm guessing that's what you're saying. Best goalkeepers in your opinion? So I discussed this in my videos. For Matchday 5 specifically, just looking at the best chances of a clean sheet, I would say Robert Sanchez and arguably Bono. In terms of long term, I would say Donnarumma and Robert Sanchez. That's probably the way I'd kind of rank it. Donnarumma, Trent, Piquerez, Hakimi, Anton, Kvaratskhelia, Bellingham, Elise, Due, Guirassy, Haaland, Aït-Nouri, Igor Jesus, Di Maria and Sommer. 5 catching a plane, 2 suspended, and Piquerez. Yeah, that's a bit unfortunate, to be fair. Yeah, I'd be open to taking a -6 or -9 in your case, Twisted Parky. You don't have to be fair. You can take a -3 and get to 13 players, I believe, which isn't too bad. But yeah, I'd take a -3 at the very least. No, the maximum captain for me is best deployed in Matchday 7. I've only got 1 chip remaining, and to be honest, my chips haven't been greatly utilised, especially the 12th man, which I think was very unlucky back in Matchday 1. But yeah, Matchday 7 is when I'll probably use that. When is the best time to utilise Max Captain? Yeah, I think that's pretty much covered. I'm also going to quickly show you this. Well, you know, I'm going to let this play out just for those that aren't aware of how Club World Cup Fantasy works. I do realise that your messages aren't showing up, and also my camera. That is by design. You will see that again very soon. But yeah, here you can see a kind of breakdown of how Club World Cup Fantasy works. And very soon I'll play the chip strategy slides. And that's where you can see my kind of updated version. You know, the best time to use every single booster. That was made back in Matchday 4. And yeah, if you've got 4 chips remaining, you're going to basically burn one of them. It's just impossible to use all of them at this stage. But some of you probably have 2 or 3 left. I think the majority of us only have 1 chip remaining. But yeah, hopefully all these slides are helpful to you. Are we going to have to look in for 6 or 7? Look for some just in case. Sorry, I didn't completely understand that, Tustapaki, but yeah, I think a lot of us do have 5 to 8 eliminated or suspended players, so taking hits is viable, in my opinion. I don't think Dembele starts as covered earlier. Bono or Courtois? For Matchday 5 only, I would favour Bono a little bit more. But they're both good options in their own right. In my kind of best team video, I did have Bono instead. And for the best wildcard squad, I had neither. But I still mentioned both of them as very solid choices. So apparently, Leonardo does start for Al Hilal. Thank you there, Morpheus. So the source is Al Hilal Info. And thank you, Twisted Parky, for moderating the chat too. Not lock. Fair enough. I get that. Any thoughts on Heinz's arrival at Arsenal, as he's always been a loser as a player and as a coach at Newell's Old Boys? Well, there's an Argentine at Arsenal. That's the most important thing, right? That's what I'm going to focus on. Let's be positive. Best 12th man, as mentioned earlier, it would be either Mbappe or Vinicius Jr. Arias captain. Yeah, if you're backing Fluminense to go through, he was involved in everything that Fluminense did against Inter Milan. Yeah, he'd be right up there for the captaincy. Probably second or third from the first match. I do rank Leonardo a little bit higher though. Yeah, I did say Reece James is a bit of a risk in terms of minutes. You can see him subbed off at 56, well, before 60 minutes. And sometimes he can be a substitute and get 45 minutes, which isn't ideal. Irish BVB, 3 rules in life, death, taxes, and never sell Garassi. Or just never go for him and you're not going to get trolled, in my opinion. So yeah, you can see here the chip strategy. I'm also going to let this play out. So you can see a breakdown of all the chips. And yeah, I think Power Captain or Maximum Captain is best deployed in Matchday 7. I think if you got the wildcard, use it now. I think it's a great time to use it. Matchday 6, depending on which chips you have remaining, but the qualification booster or the 12th man. But it's team dependent, of course. Is it crazy transferring Garassi to Mbappe? I don't think so. Garassi might score against Madrid, but I think Los Blancos will go through. Who should we captain? Well, captain someone different, mate, because unfortunately we all have very similar teams now, and with fewer clubs to choose from, we're kind of pushed in the same direction. My favourite from the first game is Leonardo. Then I'll be looking at Cole Palmer if I bring him in. Otherwise, I'll probably just settle for another Chelsea player. Whether that's Cucurella, Colwill, Delap, or Enzo Fernandez, it all depends on my final transfer, but the ideal one would be Palmer. Then from the next game, PSG Bayern Munich, my favourite would be either Hakimi or Doué, actually. I have a good feeling about Doué against Bayern Munich. And for the final match, either Mbappe or Vinicius Jr., depending on who you have. I don't think Garcia would be bad or Jude Bellingham, but yeah, I'd favour a Madrid forward there from that last game. So that's kind of my thoughts on the captaincy. Let me know your thoughts in the live chat. We can always see some surprises. Maybe Arias ends up being the best captain from the first game, and he's still in my thoughts to buy right now. But hopefully these graphics have helped you, and if they have done so, then like this video, subscribe, and all that good stuff. Share this stream around with those that love Club World Cup Fantasy, FPL, and the Champions League. I still have 12th man and max captain. Yeah, I would say 12th man now and max captain in Matchday 7. Well, I'm just doing that because, you know, people ask questions, which I've already answered in other videos, and the slides literally answer it. So you can see a visualization whilst I read over it. So if you don't like it, piss off. Pixel Pusher says, what is the preference of Kvaratskhelia over Bellingham? Well, I've already got Kvaratskhelia, right? I backed him to do well against Inter Miami. A bit disappointing with only 5 points, and that's because of the qualification booster. But yeah, I think it's quite close. For Matchday 5, I do favour Bellingham, to be fair. And if you have watched my videos like the best team and the wildcard squad, I'm fairly sure Kvaratskhelia wasn't in them, but Bellingham was. 20 points from qualification booster. Should FPL introduce this type of chip with first half of the season and second half? Well, it's kind of different, right? Because this is a cup competition. So in the knockouts, you have teams going through. It's kind of like life or death. You win or you lose, and you get points if your player qualifies to the next round. Here it's different. In FPL, it would be different. Maybe you get points for winning the game. But that's similar to the assistant manager chip if you really think about that. Instead of 2 points, it should be 3 points. Yeah, I think that's fair. I thought I was, you know, cooking with that qualification booster last week, but it wasn't really the case. Richard says, thanks, Dylan. I'm now thinking of a -9 to get these 13 players. Donnarumma, Hakimi, Freitas, Trent, Cancelo, Svensson, Palmer, Elise, Arias, Kvaratskhelia, Mbappe, Leonardo. Leave Sommer and Joe Bellingham not starting. Yeah, looks good to me. I think in my case, it's very similar. So if I decide to take a -6, I would have 13 players as well, and the same two, Sommer and Joe Bellingham, on the bench. No JL, no Palmeiras predicted lineup, but some sources indicate that Leonardo starts for Al Hilal tonight, if that helps any bit. With Palmeiras, I wouldn't expect to see too many surprises. Obviously, Gustavo Gomez and Piquerez are suspended. Two massive blows there for them. I'll have a look, though, and see if I can find anything. But first off, I'm going to verify the Al Hilal news. See if I can find the Leonardo stuff. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is give 5 memberships, and the other 5 will be gifted towards the end. So if you are staying that long, then you could be rewarded with a membership for an entire month. So we'll see who gets them. But in the meanwhile, let me see if I can get this Leonardo. Yeah, if you've got a link to that Leonardo starting tweet, then let me know in the live chat, put the link, and we can check it out. The Twitter algorithm or the search engine isn't particularly great. You can't really find what you're looking for at times. But yeah, I think he will start. That's why I've been talking about buying him for the last couple of videos. So let's see the players. So yeah, Napstars, AM, Mark, Fenerbahce, and Lalix enjoy the memberships there. João Cancelo also starts. Okay, so you did quote the source. So Al Hilal info. Let's see if I can actually find them, because I just couldn't find them when I typed them on the search engine. Al Hilal info. Let's see. No, look, it's showing me a college. Sorry, but I'm not interested in the college. I want the club. Okay, I think I just found them. I'm not sure. I can't actually find the original source. I'm seeing someone quote them. Maybe it's not on Twitter, the original, publication or whatever it may be. But yeah. Would be nice if Leonardo and Cancelo start. Both of them are on the agenda. Hey, Dylan, any trips to use? I've only got the maximum captain left, and I'll use it in Matchday 7. Hopefully I gain some points from it, because, yeah, if I used it in Matchday 1, I would have gained 19 points and saved the 12th man. Unfortunately, I got 0 points from that booster, and, yeah, I missed out on a big opportunity there. Can you rate Chelsea defensive assets, please? It's a close one between Colwill and Cucurella for first spot. I think Cucurella offers by far the most attacking potential. We haven't really seen it in this tournament in terms of pure goals and assists. Believe Colwill qualifies for the scouting bonus. I'd probably go for Colwill first. He also saves you 0.5 million in the process. Cucurella second. I will not be saying this for FPL next season, by the way, depending on prices. In third, I'd probably go for Reece James. And then in fourth, it's either Tosin Adarabioyo or whoever starts alongside Levi Colwill. Thank you to Afonso, to ANAS, Muaz, and Abdella. Thank you as well to Let's Talk Vinyl. I have 5 Madrid players, and I'm looking for a solid reason to remove one of them. Ironically, I'm a Barca fan. Well, you're not going to enjoy their points, are you? The good thing is, and I have this kind of thinking sometimes, when you're covering a team you don't necessarily like, you either get points or you jinx them. So either way, you might take something away. As Denzel Washington says, I'm leaving here with something. If he says it exactly like that, I don't know. But anyway, you get my point. In terms of reasons to actually remove him, well, you don't like them, do you? You're not going to like any Madrid player unless there's someone who you just can't hate. I'm trying to think, like Luka Modric, but you're not going to have him in Club World Cup Fantasy, are you? Time to change Sommer. Maybe not. I might just stick with Donnarumma, avoid that hit. If, for example, I only had 3 or 4 eliminated players, then perfect. Yeah, I'd get rid of Sommer, but that's not the case for me. Does anyone back Elise to do much? Well, it's a tough fixture for him on paper, but let's not forget Elise is one of the best players in world football right now. He's scoring and assisting in most games. It's just a shame that in recent matches he has been a little bit disappointing in this tournament, particularly in Matchday 4 against Flamengo. But look, PSG are the best club side right now, but they are vulnerable at times. I think a team like Bayern Munich can cause them problems, and Elise could be the key. I wanted Dembele, but I went for Vitinha just to be safe. Yeah, look, just to be very clear, there is a chance that Dembele starts. And I thought he would in Matchday 4, but that didn't prove to be the case. Eventually, Dembele will start. So if PSG go through to the next round, we could see him starting match day 6. But yeah, from the predicted lineups I've seen, I don't think Ousmane Dembele will get the nod. So Vitinha is a safer option. It also saves you a lot of millions in the process. And you can buy Palmer, Bellingham, Vinicius, and Mbappe with that sort of money. Let me see if I can get a PSG predicted lineup, though. Another one. Not just the one from Kicker, which I talked about earlier. Any from France? That would be nice. L'Equipe, though, were quite unreliable last time. Yeah, they might have gone like 3, 4, 5 wrong, actually. Let's check a few of them. These are just random pages. So yeah, this one does back Dembele to start, but yeah, Sports Illustrated. I'm not sure if you want to take that at face value. I think Dembele could be one of those kind of like sort of high risk, high reward. And I say high risk because he's quite expensive. And if he doesn't start, you're going to be a bit disappointed. But yeah, I've seen a lot of, well, not a lot, a few predicted lineups here with Dembele starting. So they back Barcola to be on the bench. Doué on the right, Kvaratskhelia left, Dembele striker, as we saw in the Champions League final and in most Champions League matches in the knockout stages. Let's see, MSN have one as well. And that's not Messi, Suarez, Neymar, or Microsoft Messenger, whatever the hell that was called back in the day. Yeah, this one has Dembele on the bench and Barcola starting. It's kind of a difficult one to tell. I might have a look and see if there's anything on Twitter, because that could be quite useful. That could also change things for me a little bit. Maybe I'd go for Dembele as a sort of high-risk, high-ceiling player. But yeah, I'm not seeing anything at the moment. Okay, I'll keep you posted on that if I see anything. But yeah, on Twitter especially, it can be hard to find these things. Okay, so for those that haven't already, you know the drill. Like, subscribe, share, and thank you to those that have done so. Annoying that Real versus Dortmund is last. Mbappe could be benched. Yeah, that is true. It would be nice if it was the opening game. You could maybe get the lineup or early team news from a reliable source. Yeah, I'm not sure, Sazad, but that's been the case for the whole tournament, basically, since they added these players. Just keep Donnarumma, not worth another keeper. Oh, of course, I'll keep Donnarumma, but yeah, in terms of selling Summer, I mean, Sanchez would be ideal, but for a hit, is it really worth it? Maybe not. Why James is so down there? Well, I literally covered that earlier a few times, mate. It's because his minutes are all over the place. If he was a kind of guaranteed 60, 70 minutes man, then yeah, he'd be higher than Colwill, but that isn't the case. Not to mention his injury record. He could break down at any time. That's the unfortunate truth. Seeing Josh's pick, oh yes, I think Josh put a few comments in the chat. Yeah, you are right about that. Captain Arias or Leonardo? I'm favouring Leonardo a little bit more, but that's because I think Al Hilal could go through, but it's a flip of a coin, to be fair. No worries, Napstars. I have Gonzalo. Would you do Haaland to Mbappe or Kane? I'd go to Mbappe. You've kind of got both of them covered. And I also think Bayern Munich will be eliminated by PSG. Have a feeling Chelsea will score more than 3 goals. I hope not, but that would be quite nice from a Club World Cup fantasy perspective, maybe. No worries, Alex. Enjoy the membership too. -9s will be the most popular. Yeah, I think so. Maybe -6 too. But might as well have some fun with it, right? It's just a Club World Cup fantasy game. Okay, so let's put these polls in order. Can I even fit this in? Probably not. Okay, the 3 strikers are the same. So let's just limit it to the defenders and midfielders. Okay, so which set of transfers do you prefer? Okay, so just the Barky says, I hope Chelsea let in more than 3, even if I buy a Chelsea player. Yes, cheers to that. Weiseng says, should I sell Neto for Palmer? I think so. I don't think Neto will feature. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but it looks increasingly more likely that Pedro Neto could miss the rest of this tournament, actually. Yeah, Haaland, Foden, Nuri, and I'd probably sell Neto too. Okay, so let's see. The defenders are both the same, to be fair. Right? Okay, so it's just really about... Oh yeah, the striker is different, so Delap. So Palmer and Delap. Palmer, Delap, Bellingham. Let's see if I can do that. So Palmer, Delap, Bellingham. And the alternative is Arias, Enzo, and Mbappe. That's what it comes down to at the moment. Not so sure, Goldhead. I mean, in UCL Fantasy, with Inter Milan, we always got Sky Sports Italia. That was really reliable. Kicker are decent for Bayern Munich, and I showed the lineups earlier for PSG and Bayern Munich according to them. But yeah, I wouldn't say they're as reliable as Sky Sports Italia are with Inter Milan. Welcome, Leoma. Hi, mate. I hope you're doing well. Should I get Valverde or Jude? I'd go for Jude Bellingham. He can get tackle points as he did in Matchday 4. He can create multiple chances, and he's also got that late run into the box, the goal-scoring potential. I like Valverde as a player, but in Club World Cup Fantasy, I'd still rank Jude Bellingham even higher. American news outlets aren't following the tourney close enough for reliable updates. That is true. I think Dembele is going to start. Yeah, it does seem almost 50-50 to be fair. If you have your team like this, you're guaranteed a minimum of 5 eliminations in the next round. Maybe it makes sense to take another hit for Summer now. Then, since it'll be for 2 game weeks. Well, it depends, because if I sell Summer, for example, to Sanchez and then Palmeiras win, which I'd really like to see, then, yeah, I could be down to no goalkeepers if Bayern also get the job done. So it just depends, really, but it gives you another option. Arrived late today. Hi, chat and Dylan. Good luck for the quarterfinals. Thank you, Mateo Gamer. The same goes to you. Best replacements for Haaland and Igor Jesus. Kane, Leonardo, if plays. Garcia, Vinicius, Mbappe. I would say Mbappe and Leonardo. That's my personal opinion on it. And the poll, interesting. Arias, Enzo, and Mbappe are winning at the moment. You can't captain the 12th man. I also showed the slides earlier. You can't captain a 12th man, you can't substitute him out or make a transfer. Once the deadline closes, that is your 12th man, that's it. And it can also not be a player from, someone that you have already in your squad. So you can't duplicate Mbappe, for example, and get 20 points. PSG fitness coach said that Dembele is in contention to start with 4 weeks of training. Yeah, I haven't seen that, but I appreciate the update. Stanisic over Svensson. I don't like either of them. I think both of them will lose and concede goals. But Svensson has the attacking threat. So if I had to pick one, it would be Svensson. The upside with Stanisic is that he's got low ownership. So if Bayern Munich were to do the unthinkable, or Stanisic gets a goal or assist, you could see some qualification bonus point. Oh my God, scouting bonus points. Bloody hell. Mbappe is the player that is more of a doubt with Gonzalo Garcia in form. Yeah, they're both doubts in my opinion. I just think Mbappe is that kind of superstar. If he's fit, he's going to play. Garcia's done a good job, but he's not going to keep Mbappe on the bench. That's the way I look at it. Maybe I'm wrong. And it also depends on Xabi Alonso and any other circumstances, whoever makes decisions there at Real Madrid. It's a tough one. I think if Mbappe starts, and if you're backing him to start, in your case, I'd go for him. But I also don't mind both. I really don't. In the end, I might not go for Harry Kane and instead go for Vinicius, actually. Wait, did I F this up? No, I didn't. Okay. I didn't F this up. To be fair, wait. Hang on. Okay, let's change this poll a little bit. Maybe let's do Harry Kane instead of Mbappe. Let's keep this interesting. Just curious to see if that changes anything here. Okay, no, it's not letting me do it. I'll let that poll sizzle for a little bit more. But yeah, I'll lock in my team fairly soon, I think. Yeah, Jackson can start. He's available. I think Delap will, though. Definitely don't sell Neto for Parma. But I just don't think he's going to play. He was one of Diogo Jota's closest friends. He didn't train yesterday, and Enzo Maresca said it's up to the player if he features against Palmeiras. And some reports on Twitter that I saw anyway indicate that he could miss the rest of the tournament. So have a bit of time out there. Mbappe or Vinicius? Mbappe for me, but it all depends on your prediction about Mbappe's minutes. Do you think he starts? If so, I'd go for him. Yeah, Trent is a good pick. Of course he is, but I think Fran Garcia offers better value. Thoughts on Joao Pedro to Chelsea? Well, he's a talented player. I do think he's got a bit of an attitude problem, though, and I think there is something a little bit there. You could say the same thing about Cunha as well, to be quite honest with you. But yeah, time will tell. I think we have to just see how he gets on. But he is versatile. He can play on the left, right, and up front. Do I see him as a massive level raiser for Chelsea? Not really, but he is probably an upgrade, I think, on some of the attackers that Chelsea have. Reece James, a good pick as you'll play in the midfield. Yeah, assuming that he gets 60-plus minutes, I think he is a good pick, but he's always risky and unfortunately very injury-prone. Harry Kane scores a brace if you don't have him, but blanks if you do. Yeah, just like Garassi. Fuck both of them. Just joined any team leaks? Not really. I've seen a few things on Twitter and people in the live chat saying that Leonardo and Cancelo start. Jackson will start on the flank with Neto out. It's possible. Yeah, there's no link, I think, to Dembele starting. But if there is, I'll have a look. Musiala's not definitely starting, but I think he will. Yeah, he's definitely in contention to Stipaki, but starting is another question entirely. I already have 14 to play and -6. Should I take another -3 for Marcos Leonardo? I probably would, to be fair, especially if you're looking to captain him. But that's just my take on it. Potentially another big hit if shock elimination like round of 16. Maybe, but especially for the final, I don't see that being a big issue because you get 6 free transfers and you only need 11 players. But if you also want to have 13, 14, 15 in the semi-finals, then yeah, we could maybe see another set of -3s, -6s. But I wouldn't recommend -12 now and another -9, -12 next week. I don't think that's the way to go. Silva, Koulibaly, Fran Garcia. My favourite is Fran Garcia. I also think Madrid will go through to the next round. With the other game, I'm less sure, but I would slightly favour Al Hilal. It is a close one, to be fair, though. Someone asked me for my prediction earlier, and I did say 2-1 Al Hilal. Is there a better 5 million option? Not necessarily. I don't think so. I mean, you got Freites and Samuel Javier. I would probably rank both of them higher than Thiago Silva. Best match days to play 12th man and max captain. 12th man now, max captain, match day 7, as covered earlier. Would go Vinicius, Mbappe might not start. Maybe. Yeah, maybe not best friends, but they were really close. Maybe they were, to be fair. I just don't know enough about it. Arias or Ruben Neves. Yeah, so in my case, I might go for Arias. So in the eventuality or possibility that Fluminense go through, I do have some sort of coverage. That's one of my issues maybe from the last round and why I ended up with so many eliminated players. Yeah, probably Leonardo for me, Richard. Feeling Leonardo will be more popular, so taking a punt on Arias as it's the first match. Yeah, that's fair enough, but unfortunately Arias does have more than 5% ownership now. That wasn't the case a few days ago. Hi Dylan, mate. Do you think it's better to use the maximum captain in the semis or the final? They're both viable, but my preference would be the final. Because remember, for the semi-final, you got 2 shots at the captaincy. In the final, you get 1, and you can't change it. Palmer and Malcolm or Ruben Neves and Mbappe? I would go for Neves and Mbappe. Now, it all depends on your prediction for Mbappe. If you don't think he starts, then I'd be kind of reconsidering that. But even off the bench, we all know what he can do. I would only go for Mbappe if you're backing him to start. And I think he will. I'm not going to lie and say I'm completely sure about it, but I think he will. Is the orange booster the wild card? I haven't touched my team since Game Week 1. They're all orange boosters, to be honest. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure why it's coming up like it's unlimited transfers. I think it's just grayed out. Yeah, that's just like a thing. So if I go back to here, yeah, they're all in orange, but it's quite clear. Like if you just go to this section, it will say it, and you can activate the right one accordingly. Just be very careful because they might look quite similar in terms of the icons and the color scheme. So we can change captain from PSG game to Real Madrid game. Yes, it's the same as the group stages and stuff like that. Malcolm or Leonardo? Leonardo for me. Thoughts on Tosin Adarabioyo? I mean, he's not the most nailed-on starter, but he did fairly well on Matchday 3. I would rank Reece James, Cucurella, and Colwill higher. I'll probably go for Colwill for the scouting bonus, but I don't really blame you if you kind of go about things a little bit differently. So in my case, if I buy Mbappe, for example, I'd probably 12th man Vinicius. Pedro and Cunha are such Chelsea and United players, skillful at times but lose their heads and have bad attitudes. Yeah, I think that's a good way of summing it up, to be fair. I keep Kane in my team until now. At least it's not my fraud. My regret if I'm not captaining him. Well, he's not a fraud, even though I called him that after Matchday 1, but come on, in a 10-0 win against Auckland City, how the hell are you not doing anything? Come on, it's questionable. Best Dumfries and 8 Nuri replacements. I don't know who you have already, mate, but I would say Hakimi is the standout, the obvious one. I would probably go for Chelsea defenders like Cucurella, James, or Colwill. Maybe 2 of them, if you wish. Fran Garcia. I'd probably stick with those options, and Joao Cancelo. Just depends on who you have already. Mauricio, -3 for Parma, yes or no? Yeah, that's an upgrade. I think it's worth it. Mbappe or Leonardo? What a question. Leonardo is probably a little bit more secure, even though he had some problems against Man City. I would probably go for Leonardo. I don't think Ruben Neves will play because him and Jota were best mates. Yeah, it's kind of a shame, you know, you have this, you have to kind of like second and triple guess all this sort of stuff. But yeah, I mean, when a tragedy like that happens, I mean, what can you say? Life is unpredictable. But that is a good point. I did mention that a lot with Pedro Neto, not so much with Ruben Neves. They were obviously together at Wolves, so you are right to point that out. Why has the captaincy points got 1 less point? Garassi scored 14, but only 26 points given. You probably activate the qualification bonus last round, the booster, and that doesn't count for the captaincy score. So it's basically your captaincy score, and then you get 2 additional points separately for qualifying to the next round. And it's not like you're going to have those doubled to make it 4 points for qualifying. So that should clear it. Richard says, even if shocks with PSG, Chelsea and Real all get eliminated this round, I can still get to a starting 11 in the semi-finals just using the 5 free transfers. Yeah, that's good. Not sure if that's the case for me, though. Probably not, actually. So, yeah. A lot of work needs to be done. So, if I were to make these transfers... Oof, doesn't look too good, to be fair. I mean, I have Svensson. Maybe I'd have what? You know what? By the way, let me change this a little bit. I'm going to go for Cancelo, not Fran Garcia. Actually, no, I do want more Madrid players now. No. I do like Cancelo, though. I got some difficult decisions to make here. Garcia. Yeah, I think that's probably the way to go. I'm still tempted to take a hit and maybe go for Bono, actually. Colwell's ownership is 4% now, by the way, so it is slowly rising. It probably won't go to 5% or above before the deadline, but something to keep track of. Garassi or Mbappe? Mbappe for me. Leonardo or Delap? Leonardo. Twister Parky says, like the look of Trent. Yeah. You just can't have them all, though, right? I do have a lot of money in the bank if I don't go for Palmer, so I think Trent would be a viable option. I have Weatherton goalkeeper, -3 to remove Di Gregorio, or play with 1 goalkeeper. I'd probably stick with Weatherton, I think, but I do think Chelsea go through. You could see the -3 hit as a way of covering the next round too, but there's no guarantee that your transfer in will also advance to the next round, so there is an element of risk. Yeah, it's a difficult question. I'd probably go for it in your case because you've got Weatherton. If it was Sanchez, I may feel differently, but Who knows with this tournament? We have seen a lot of upsets, to be fair. I keep Neto for now since Chelsea played today. I'll sub him out if he doesn't. Neto maybe decides to play. Yeah, we just don't know yet. It's all down to the player, as mentioned by Enzo Maresca. Hola Dylan, ¿crees que sea mejor usar hoy el bonus de 12 man hoy o en la próxima fecha? Si es posible, yo lo usaría ahora. Para mí hay mejores fechas y... sí, rivales más fáciles en esta ronda, como Palmeiras, puedes decir, para Chelsea, y también Al-Hilal o Fluminense, dependiendo de tu preferencia. Así que 12 man ahora. Would you play the 12th man or qualification chip at this stage? So yeah, this is where it becomes difficult because ideally with both boosters, you'd use it as early as possible. I would probably go for the qualification booster now and the 12th man in matchday 6 in this situation. Is Mbappe worth a -3 hit? I think so, but there's no guarantee he starts. I have to make that very clear. Barcola or Doué? I prefer Doué. I think he's going to do really well against Bayern if he starts. Is it best to play the 12th man this matchday? Only have that and max captain chips. In my opinion, yes. The maximum captain and the 12th man can be used well at any stage of the competition, but on paper, I think matchday 5, 12th man, and matchday 7, maximum captain. Probably Colwill for me, Football Freak, but Cucurella does offer more attacking threat. I think a hits poll is needed. Yeah, I'll do that very soon. That is a good idea. I'm just going to change this a little bit, but wow, this poll has become very close. It's almost 50-50. I might let it reach 200 votes and then make a new one, and then I'll put your idea very soon. No, Maz, I definitely don't watch that. Hi, Dylan. Vinicius or Mbappe? Vinicius is safer, and he's got a good record against Borussia Dortmund. He scored against them in a final, and also he did really well in that 5-2 win last season. You know what? I'm actually very tempted to go for Vinicius. The more we speak about him. He is the safer pick as well in terms of minutes. Barcola is such a nice pick, only 1.8% owned too. Assuming that he does start, then yeah, but Dembele would be the biggest obstacle. It's likely that Xabi gives Gonzalo Garcia to give him the experience, Mbappe for sub in the second half. I disagree about the end of the tournament. I think if Mbappe is ready to start, he will come back in. Maybe not now, and I could be wrong about that, but if it's a final, I think Mbappe starts. Let's put it that way. Gonna get an ex-Seagulls. Guess who? Pascal Gross? That's the first one that came to mind. Let me know what you think, or if that's right. João Cunha says Sanchez, Cucurella and Cancelo, or Bono, Cucurella and Freitas. I would go for Sanchez, Cucurella and Cancelo. Sydney says 7 players in. Donnarumma, Hakimi, Stanisic, Elise, Doué, Kvaratskhelia and Garassi. 8 players out. Sommer, Piquerez, Dumfries, Aït-Nouri, Foden, Haaland, Igor. So I would transfer out the forwards. I would also sell Foden, Dumfries, and Aït-Nouri. So that would be 6 transfers. That would be a -6 hit. I'd even consider taking a -9 and selling Piquerez. Yeah, I think that's what I would do, Sydney. And then you can see the players on screen. Those are some of my favorite ones to buy right now. Check out my best team and wildcard videos. You can also see my kind of favorite options for matchday 5 and beyond. I don't think Leonardo is that good. Got 2 goals given to him. He got into the right areas. I'm not saying he's an amazing player, but he costs 4 million, gives you a nice captaincy option on the first day. He's having a brilliant tournament so far, and he's scoring different types of goals. Nashwan says Fabio, Donnarumma, Stanisic, Anton, Marquinhos, Hakimi, Freitas, Mbappe, Palmer, Elise, Garassi, Arias, Enzo, Kvaratskhelia and Igor. Don't want to get another hit. What do you think I should do? Take a hit of a -9 for another? I mean, your squad is fine. I'd consider getting maybe more Madrid and Chelsea players, if possible. So, yeah, I wouldn't mind taking an additional hit, to be fair. That is true, Wei Sing. Can we change captains after the Al Hilal game? Yes, it's the same as the group stages and in previous rounds. There's no reason for them to change it now. Salima says Bono, Hakimi, Cucurella, Koulibaly, Freitas, Pedro Neto, Bellingham, Kvaratskhelia, Vitinha, Kane, Gonzalo, Donnarumma, Howson, Garassi, Elise. Yeah, looks good. I mean, you've got a full 50-man squad, right? I didn't count, to be honest, but it does look like a full 50-man squad. Mbappe and Arias and -3, or Bellingham and Guirassy? I'd say the -3 option. Just bear in mind, Mbappe might not start. If you want to go safe, Vinicius Jr. is a great option. Fran Garcia or an Al Hilal defender? Good question. Longer term, I would favour the Real Madrid defender possibly, but even if they go through to the semi-final, it's Bayern Munich or PSG. And let's say they reach the final, do they keep a clean sheet? It's tough to say, to be fair. For Matchday 5, at least, I do prefer the Al Hilal defender. So it's a close one. Milinkovic-Savic looks like one of the better sub 5% players left in the tournament. You could be right. You could be right. I do like Ruben Neves, but I think his ownership is over 5%, and who knows if he will be given, you know, kind of a, I don't even know the terminology right now, but the right to kind of like take a break. Yeah, I don't know if there's a term with excused. Yeah, excused, you know, for personal reasons. Dylan, backline is Hakimi, Stanisic, and Trent. Should I get a Chelsea defender for a -3? I'd say so, yeah. I'm looking at something similar. Faris with a -9. Thoughts? I like the look of it, but maybe to play it safe, you can go for Vinicius over Mbappe or Harry Kane. I do like your other transfers, though. A bit unsure about Valverde. That's the only one I look at and think maybe I'd consider somebody else. It could age horribly. If you're backing him to do well, go for it. But yeah, bereavement, yeah. I mean, I did say that earlier, but I just saw like an exact phrase. I don't think it was that one, but yeah, doesn't matter. I think we all know what I'm saying. Any news on Chelsea lineup? No. No news, to be honest. Shall I go Gross, Cucurella, Caicedo? Is that Caicedo? Well, Caicedo is suspended. From those, I think the best one is Robert Sanchez. Yeah, Cucurella, yeah, I forgot about those players. Yeah, Sanchez, Colwell, Cucurella, my favourites there. Is Delap playing? I think he'll start, yeah. Jackson is back. He will be in the squad. Richard Millership says, please recommend some 12-man options for me. Yeah, I said this before, mate. Mbappe and Vinicius. From the others you mentioned, I'd say Palmer would be next in line. What's the maximum squad players you would have to play with? Currently 12. With 4 free transfers, I would get 11. So basically, a -3 takes me to 12, a -6 to 13. And if I want a full 50-man squad, it would be a -12 there. Yeah. Fluminense or Chelsea defender or both? I'd favour the Chelsea defenders, unfortunately. Napstar says, last question, Palmer or Bellingham? I'd favour Palmer right now. They're both really good options. Ideally, I'd have them both, but right now I've got neither. Neil says, Dumfries and Foden to Colwell and Palmer, or Dumfries, Foden and Yankuto out for Cucurella, Valverde and Renan Lodi for a -3. Yeah, would be my simple answer. I like all of them. Just a bit unsure about Valverde. That's the only one. The rest looks solid to me. Okay, so I'm going to start looking in my transfers. Otherwise, I'm going to forget. And that happens a lot in UCL Fantasy and FPL, for example. Okay, so I'm going to end this poll, which is very close. But Arias, Enzo, and Mbappe are in the lead. Okay, so before I do a kind of hits question and seeing what people are doing, I'm going to do a forwards question. So which premium forward do you prefer? I'm going to put Kane, Vinicius Jr. and Mbappe. I mean, I might add the lap to this as well. So I'll remove the premium turn if I do that. Okay. Okay. I put Kane twice for some reason. Okay. There we go. I'm going Captain Gano. Yeah, I was actually considering him when I was making this list for the poll. Herman Gano from Fluminense. Differential as well. I'm actually very tempted. As a Chelsea fan, I don't think Chelsea have the easy path, especially seeing the passion from the Brazilian team. I still disagree, to be honest. I mean, compare it to PSG facing Bayern, then facing Dortmund or Real Madrid. yeah, I mean, maybe the teams on your side of the bracket have more motivation, but in terms of quality, I think there is a big difference. 10 million left for a midfielder. Already have Enzo, Kvaratskhelia, Doué, and Elise. I'd go for Palmer or Bellingham. Palmer might be my preference. I think James will start for Chelsea, but does he get 60 plus minutes? I can't guarantee that. I don't think Neto will start there, Dida. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think he starts. We can still do subs even though they play the same day, right? Yes, the same as the group stages and in Matchday 4. There's no reason for that to change. The only time you can't make subs or change the captaincy is in Matchday 7 for the Club World Cup final. Lucas says Donnarumma, Bono, Cancelo, Trent, Stanisic, Hakimi, Svensson, Doué, Kvaratskhelia, Enzo, Elise, Leonardo, Mbappe, Kane, Kep, Joe Bellingham. Do I need to take another hit for a Chelsea defender here? You don't need to, no. Just seeing, who would you be selling? I'm guessing it's an eliminated player, right? But yeah, possibly. That takes you to 14, right? So not too shabby. Well, maybe not 14. You didn't say the number, did you? Okay, yeah, that's weird. I mean, I'd rather sell Joe Bellingham and get to 15 players in your case instead of getting a Chelsea defender for someone who is actually playing in the quarterfinals. Robert and Rudy says 4-5-1. Donnarumma, Cancelo, Mendes, Hakimi, Koulibaly, Coman, Elise, Doué, Kvaratskhelia, Bellingham, Vinicius. Thoughts? Yeah, it looks good. Just unsure about your bench options, but I try to bolster your 50-man squad if possible. So Mbappe is leading this vote. Vinicius is second. Kane is third with a quarter of the votes, and Delap is last. Interesting. Okay, so I'm going to start locking things in, I think. So in this case, and I'm probably going to regret this if I don't go for Mbappe, but Vinicius, let's put, let's see what else we can do. Yeah, Leonardo. Maybe instead of Kane, I am considering Germán Cano. I mean, at this stage of the competition, if you want to go differential, 1.2% ownership. That does mean a double up in Fluminense, though, offensively, unless I use this money to then go to Bellingham. And by the way, I've got a lot of bloody money. So with that, I could do something like this. Enzo Fernandez to Palmer. Then defensively, I can go for Garcia and Levi Colwill. So there, I can add 3 Madrid players. I can add Germán Cano and Levi Colwill. I actually like the look of this. It's not too shabby. So then we're going to change this a little bit. This would be a set of alternative transfers here. And I'm going to add one more. I like to make things complicated for myself. But yeah, I kind of see it as keeping my options open. So let's get this show on the road. Okay. So here I would be getting, let's say, the kind of traditional template sort of picks. So Mbappe and Harry Kane. Mbappe, Kane, Leonardo. Then I would be getting Di Maria and Joe Bellingham out. The same goes for Denzel Dumfries, probably 8 Nuri too. So in the midfield, could go for Enzo Fernandez and Arias. And then, let's say, Joao Cancelo and Levi Colwill. Let me know your thoughts in the live chat. Which of these transfers or set of transfers do you prefer? So I'm going to put a poll out very soon, and then we'll finally get to the hits one, which was requested earlier. But in this one, Mbappe and Vinicius is so close, and Vinicius is currently leading now. That's interesting. Which Chelsea defender do you prefer the most? Probably Colwill, just for the qualifying, the scouting bonus. I keep getting tripped up by the booster BS at the end of that phrase. FPL managers will headache pick Chelsea attackers next season. Yeah, we'll just go for Cole Palmer, I guess. If Pedro Neto continues his form from this tournament, I'd be very interested, but that is a big if. ¿Cuál es tu defensa favorito del Chelsea? Sería Levi Colwill por su ownership, que es menos de 5%. Así que si Chelsea obtiene una valla invicta, Colwill va a tener 9 puntos solo por tener una valla invicta. Yeah, 14 players are left. Yeah, I calculated that myself. I had to count it. A Nuri, Igor Jesus, Haaland, and Di Maria got to go. Would you sell Joe Bellingham and Piquerez or just one? I'd be tempted to sell both. You don't have to, but I'd probably just go for it. Al Hilal lineup is out. Thank you, Rafael Machado. I will have a look. Let's see if it's on their Twitter. Yeah, okay. It is officially out. Let me see if any of these pages have also confirmed it. No, not yet. So let's get this thing on screen. So, Al Hilal have gone for Bono, Koulibaly, Monteb, Cancelo, Lodi, Ruben Neves, Cano, Nasser, that's Milinkovic-Savic, Malcolm, and Leonardo. Just having a look at their bench. Let's see. So yeah, their new signing, Hamid Allah, is there. What about Al Dawsari? I mean, they've got a few Al Dawsaris in their ranks. I don't see that, and yeah, the brief is quite dark on my screen. Let's see if I... No, I don't see Salim Al Dawsari. Maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe I am wrong. But yeah, there you go. Yeah, I think, yeah, Mitrovic and Al Dawsari are out anyway. Yeah, I don't see Al Dawsari. I don't think he's in there. Nah, yeah, he's not in the squad again. Okay, so yeah, that is covered. Thank you to Machado for pointing me in the right direction. So we are close to 100 likes. Once we do that, let's get to 200 plus before the end of the stream. It would be greatly appreciated. Greatly appreciated. Jesus, it's been a long day. Guess I should take 2 hits because I have Garassi and Anton. That might not get much. I think Garassi could, but not Anton. I have Sanchez as my sole goalie and was thinking of buying Bono so that I could have at least one goalkeeper in the final. Yeah, the only bad thing obviously is that in the semi-finals they will play each other if they both go through. I prefer having one goalkeeper from one side of the bracket and one on the other, but yeah, to be honest, in your case, mate, it's not a guarantee. Maybe Chelsea and Al Hilal both get knocked out. But I get it. You're kind of improving your chances of having a guaranteed goalkeeper. I get that. But there are some pros and cons about it. I think Mendes will have a field day with Elise. But Elise can drift into the centre and then link up with Musiala if he starts and Harry Kane. Look, Nuno Mendes has been brilliant this season. He's the best left-back in the world right now, but he can be got at, in my opinion. He's not like the best left-back of all time or something. I think Elise and Hakimi will shine that game, to be honest. Yeah, they could do. Offensively, anyway, in the case of Hakimi. 12th man, pick one. It would be Mbappe, but he's a risk, so it's up to you if you want to take it. I also mentioned Vinicius Jr., actually. Al Dawsari to Bellingham for a -3, or just play with 14. I take the hit, John. Should I -3 hit for Enzo, Gula, or Rios? I do like Arda Gula, to be fair. That is a good shout. Rios will be at the bottom of that list. You know what? I'm going to say Arda Gula. Yeah. What do you think of the trio Kane, Gonzalo Garcia, and Leonardo? It's solid. I'm not sure if Garcia starts, but you could say the same thing about Mbappe. Is Salim Al Dawsari fit? No, he's not. I would probably go for Arias, but I do like Arda Gula a lot. Yeah, I'm not sure why the ticker will be saying 55 minutes. Maybe it's just glitched or something. I'll go back to it. Maybe you're further back in the stream. Let's check this. Yeah, no, the timer's correct. It says 18 minutes left. So you gotta click the button, you know, in the bottom left-hand corner of your video, and then it will take you to the live section. And by the time you hear this, we'll be sleeping or something. If a player gets a second yellow, do they miss the semi-final? That is a good question. So the yellow cards are reset after the quarterfinals. So, yeah, the answer is no, if I'm not mistaken. It's just like the Champions League. And basically, players who picked up their second yellow card before the quarterfinals will miss Matchday 5. But from this point onwards, unless they get red carded, they should be available for the semis and the final. I see the lineup, but it's in Arabic. Yeah, so thankfully I did read out the English version or just their names, but yeah, it was quite hard to see the players on the bench. Arias como capitán no es una mala opción, y también Germán Cano de Fluminense. También depende de el equipo que apoyas y que piensas que va a ganar el partido, y va a ser bastante difícil entre Al Hilal y Fluminense. Yeah, Al Dawsri is done for the tournament. Yeah, it's a shame. I did like him. Salim is out with a hamstring injury, likely out for the tournament, says John. Rashid says, I currently have Kane, Garassi, and Leonardo. Should I sell one of Kane and Garassi for a -3? Nah, I'd keep them. I wouldn't sell them for a hit, even though I like Vinicius and Mbappe a lot. What do you think about Lodi? He is under 5% and he has good numbers and always had good numbers in the Champions League. Yeah, as a differential way of covering Al Hilal, I'm not against it at all. He's not going to offer the same attacking threat as Joao Cancelo and the rest, but he is a good option nonetheless. So what I'm going to do now, because I need to lock in my team, otherwise I am screwed. I'm going to end this poll. Mbappe narrowly won it, only just over his teammate Vinicius Jr. Dragon says, hi Dylan, would you take Arias over Enzo if it means no Chelsea attack this week? I think Chelsea will go through, to be fair, but Enzo Fernandez won't play that attacking midfield role, in my opinion, because of Caicedo's suspension and Lavia's injury. I'd probably go for Arias. Fluminense lineup, I don't have it yet. I'll cover it very soon if I do see it, but yeah, unfortunately, I just haven't given myself enough time to lock in my team, and I need to do that. So for now, no more questions being answered. If I do see one from a member or something, then I'll probably go for it, but yeah, I need to lock this in, otherwise I am going to retire from Club World Cup Fantasy, and I don't want to do that. Fluminense, I haven't seen the lineup yet, so probably going to be announced in a few minutes' time. Yeah, and it's not on the FIFA website either. So for score, not confirmed lineups as of yet. So yeah, let me go through this. So Team A, let's find a way of identifying all of these. So this would be the Vinicius, Palmer, Bellingham route. Okay, so that would be a nice way of distinguishing that. So Vinicius, Palmer, Bellingham. Let's put Jude, because the stupid character limit here is really annoying. So A, did it, Bellingham. B. So yeah, this is Team A, what you see on screen. I'd be buying the likes of Garcia, Colwill, Palmer, Bellingham, Leonardo, Cano, and Vinicius Jr. The second team I'm looking at is this. So to distinguish this, it would be Mbappe, Delap. Yeah, it's Mbappe. And we'll put Bellingham again. The third option will be this with Mbappe, Kane, and it would be Arias instead. Mbappe, Kane, Arias. So let me know your thoughts. It is obviously a little bit more complicated than that. There's also Cancelo involved in some of these scenarios, like the one you see on screen, but my kind of focus defensively is on Chelsea. I want to get 2 or 3 of their players, either get points or, yeah, jinx them. Either way, I would not mind at all. So let me know your thoughts there in the live chat. Let's lock things in. Very soon, I'll be gifting 5 more memberships, so keep your eyes peeled. And thank you for all the support throughout this tournament. It is greatly appreciated. But it is now time to lock things in. Make sure that you have your bench and stuff sorted, but even if you don't do that before the transfer deadline, you are still able to do it before kickoff. So don't worry about that. It's kind of a fixed system for transfers, and then it's kind of a rolling on system with substitutions and captaincy. So, yeah, Paredes saying Captain Cano. Yeah, even if I buy him, I'm not sure if I'll captain him. It's between him and Leonardo, but it's a good shout. Dragons with a thumbs up. I appreciate it. Well, my captain will be either Leonardo, Arias, or Germán Cano. Probably in that order, to be fair. I do like Gano's ownership, so that means scouting bonus is possible. But yeah, Al Hilal I think could go through. It's a 50-50 game, but if I had to kind of pick just one team, and my gut feeling, it would be the Saudi Arabian team. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, with this poll, option C is winning. Mbappe, Kane, and Arias. It's quite a balanced poll. Option A with Vinicius, Palmer, and Bellingham is second. And Mbappe, Delap, and Bellingham is third. I think that's a kind of fair assessment. So yeah, this one I'm going to rank the lowest. This team with Delap, Leonardo, and Mbappe. Still pretty decent, to be fair. It might even end up being the highest scoring one, knowing my luck. But I'll be honest, like, I'm really tempted by these two teams. Enzo Fernandez, yeah. Have a few reservations about him. At least Neves is starting. I could also go in that direction. But I do like having Palmer and Bellingham simultaneously. I do like that a lot. Yeah, it looks really solid. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so in this case, I'd have one Al Hilal and one Fluminense player. And then the rest is kind of stacking up on Madrid, Chelsea. And 2 Chelsea's not that much anyway. 2 Bayern, 4 PSG, 1 Dortmund. It's not too shabby. So they would all be for -9 hits, by the way. And I'm not exactly in the best of positions. I could even take the extra hit if I wish to get Robert Sanchez. As mentioned before, Mbappe or Vinicius would be my favourite 12-man options. Is Milinkovic-Savic starting? Yes, he is. I'll double check that, but yeah, I did read it out earlier. Cancelo or Koulibaly? Cancelo. If you want a differential defender, though, from Al Hilal, I would recommend Renan Lodi. Yeah, system error. If that happens, though, just keep on trying and trying, and it should go through. But what I'm going to do is also have it ready on the app. And I'd recommend you do the same thing, just in case, so you can lock things in. But yeah, it's time for me to just get this done. Otherwise, I might be in a bad position. Yeah. I don't know why. I really like the Palmer Bellingham route. I'm just going to back my gut here. And even with Garcia, could end up going for Renan Lodi as a differential, but yeah. I think this is what I'm going to end up sticking with, which is option C, I believe? No, it's option B. No, it's, oh, Jesus Christ. It's option A. So this is option A. This is option C, and this is option B. This one I'm kind of... It's a good one, but I'm probably putting it down a little bit lower. I think it's between these two now for me to lock in. Time to have some fun, I'd say. Yeah, I mentioned this before. Mbappe and Vinicius are my favorite 12-man options. Best fantasy content, greetings from Bosnia and Herzegovina. Thank you very much. Very kind of you. And I hope to see you very soon for UCL and FPL. Howson or Kim Min-jae? Howson. Yeah, Milinkovic-Savic is a differential as well. I don't think his goals and assists for it might be the best from open play, but maybe I'm underselling him a little bit. Let's see his record recently. Yeah, in the last 10 games, he's got 2 goals, 1 assist. I mean, he could definitely score tonight or do something, but yeah, I think with that ownership, he is tempting. Who do you think is better for this match day, Enzo or Ruben Neves? I think for this match day, I might go for Ruben Neves, actually. The reason why I'm favouring Enzo as a transfer is because I think Chelsea will go through. I've got more confidence in that than Al Hilal. And if they both meet each other in match day 6, I think Chelsea will also advance to the final. So that's kind of the start, or the kind of thinking about that. Yes, Sinway, I covered the lineup just a few minutes ago. Neves does start. Sanchez, Cancelo, Fran Garcia, or Bono, Colwill, and Trent. I would go for the first trio, but good question. It is quite close, to be fair. So yeah, people are quite conflicted between the same options that I'm really thinking about. Vinicius, Palmer, Bellingham, and then, yeah, this option with Mbappe, Kane, and all this stuff. Yeah, I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to go for this one, I think. Yeah. Yeah, I think so. There might be some regrets about not going for Arias, and maybe going for these expensive midfielders doesn't actually work. And look, I could still keep Vinicius, Leonardo, and then change things a little bit with the midfield, but it would essentially be similar to another team I've done. I do like Kane for matchday 5, even though he's up against PSG, but not long term. I do think Bayern Munich will be eliminated. But yeah, with this budget, I'd be very, very limited with my options. Yeah, really, really close calls. In the end, what I might end up doing here is Vinicius instead of Mbappe, and then instead of Enzo Fernandez, I wish we had clarity on the Neto situation. And yeah, imagine I just had one Chelsea player. Not ideal. Yeah. Decisions to make. Decisions to make for sure. Not easy. But yeah, I think I'm going to end up doing this one. All right. Let's see how horribly this ages. Oh, let me change that. So Herman Cano as a differential. Having a bit of fun. 0.4 million in the bank. Let's see. It's going to say system error. Let's just keep going. Yeah. So if it does say system error, just click it again and the transfers will go through. It's just a known glitch with FIFA. And if I had done that last time, I would have gained 7 points from Hakimi, but we forget, you know, it happens. At this point, I probably have lost 10, 20 points from this stupid deadline system and the transfers. But just for those that are struggling with the system error, just click it again and it should go through. So that's my set of transfers done, -9 hit taken. Hopefully I haven't made any mistakes. Yeah, it looks all right. Yeah, 6 minutes left until the deadline. Now it's about sorting out the bench and stuff like that. So with the captaincy, I am looking at Herman Cano or Leonardo. Yeah, that is kind of my 2 cents on it. I'm also going to put the Madrid players on the bench since they play towards the end of the game week. So Bellingham out for Palmer. Yeah, vice captain, I guess. I mean, it doesn't really matter. I'll just put a PSG player there for now. Yeah, so my structure is 4 PSG in Donnarumma, Hakimi, Doué, and Kvaratskhelia. 2 Bayern Munich with Stanisic and Elise. I would also have 3 Real Madrid with Fran Garcia, Bellingham, and Vinicius Jr. And also 2 Chelsea with Colwill and Palmer. 1 from Borussia Dortmund in Svensson. It means I've got no Palmeiras coverage. And yeah, the rest I've kind of got something. I've got 1 stake in everyone else. But yeah. Now the question is, do I take an additional hit for a goalkeeper transfer and get to a full 11? So let's see. So let's put by Sanchez. The other goalkeeper options would be, I'd say Courtois and Bono. Those would be my favorites. And the other one is I'm not playing any chip. I've only got 1 left, and yeah, it's going to be the maximum captain, probably a matchday 7. I am open to using a matchday 6, but I think I'm going to use it for the Club World Cup final. Yeah, I think the Bono thing is auto-corrected, so that doesn't look right. But yeah, most of you are... I know it does say that sticking and not taking the extra hit is winning the vote, but if you do think about it, 60% of you, roughly, are saying to buy a goalkeeper, if you think of it that way. Oh, the goalkeeper, yeah, Peter Ruffai. Yeah, that was the goalkeeper that I asked about earlier. Yeah, a very sad week indeed. Also, a famous actor died yesterday. Yeah, a lot of negative news in the last day or so. Yeah, top 5 mids. I'd say Palmer, Bellingham, Doué, Elise, and it's kind of close to say the fifth one. Pedro Neto starts, then I'd say him. I haven't gone for him because I don't think he will. Has Club World Cup Fantasy been better than FPL? Not necessarily. I don't think so. They are different. There are a lot of flaws of FPL, but it also is quite simple. My biggest gripe with Club World Cup Fantasy was the Matchday 1 deadline. Fair enough, it happened. You know, you can forgive and stuff like that. But yeah, that's just something that you rarely see in FPL over all the years, even though you could say last season we had 2 occasions where we had a very bugged deadline. But nothing like that where you're kind of locked in prematurely. If anything, the deadline kept on going on for like half an hour afterwards. But yeah, really close this poll. Almost half of you are saying stick and don't make the extra hit for a goalkeeper. But yeah, Sanchez will be my favourite goalkeeper to buy. Hopefully Palmeiras do score there. Just take the -12, lol, you're already in for a -9. Yeah, but it's a goalkeeper. That's the kind of question as well about it. I've used the wildcard this week. Do I get to use other boosters in the coming weeks? Yeah, you can use, you know, the other chips in Matchday 6 and 7, but you can't use 2 at the same time. That's something that's always been the case. Al-Dawsari is potentially out for the rest of the tournament. Ousmane Dembele was in the squad and he was a substitute against Inter Miami. Does he start? I couldn't tell you for sure, but there is a chance. And some outlets think that he will. Others think it will be Barcola instead. That's the biggest dilemma with the PSG lineup. What do you think of Malcolm versus Fluminense? Yeah, decent choice. He's not my favourite, but I think he's a solid choice overall. When to play the 12th man? Well, now, if you can. I would say so. Not sure what's happening here. What the hell? Yeah, give me a second, by the way. I'm having some technical issues. I do apologize. But yeah, let me know if the stream is still going well. Hopefully it is. And I do think the internet was a little bit buggy today. But yeah, 12th man, I'd use it now on Mbappe or Vinicius. I think Vinicius would be slightly safer. Do I take it for Neto or keep him? I'd probably just keep him and then bench if he doesn't play. But I'll be honest, I don't think he will. Christian Delgadillo says Bono, Courtois, Hakimi, Mendes, Lodi, Cancelo, Adarabioyo, Bellingham, Enzo, Vitinha, Kvaratskhelia, Gula, Markham, captain, Mbappe, Vinicius. Any changes? Not necessarily. I think it's a good squad overall. I do like Arda Gula, actually. Adarabioyo I'm a bit unsure about, but the rest looks really solid. But we are pretty much going to lock in. I think we are locked in now. I'm just doing this. Doesn't really matter. Changing the order of the bench, but you can do that before the deadline anyway. And yeah, I've still got time to change my captain as well. So I might go for Cano captain, but my transfers are locked. We can't make any more moves here. So yeah, you are now out of time. I have answered many questions, covered different graphics, provided team news, a predicted lineup and all of that. Mishi, no, I'm not playing a chip as mentioned before. So yeah, now my team has been saved. Yeah, Leonardo captain. Yeah, that's an interesting one. Let's see what people are saying. How many hits are people taking? Yeah, Hakimi is probably the best right back in the world. I don't think he's great defensively, though, and I do think the quality of fullbacks is much worse now than it used to be. Once upon a time, we had Dani Alves, who maybe wasn't the best defensively, to be fair, but you also had Zanetti and Philipp Lahm. Yeah, you had like 3 world-class right backs at the same time. Before that, you had Cafu. Now you've got Hakimi, Dumfries, Trent. It's a big drop-off in my opinion. I have 5 PSG and 4 Chelsea. This could go very wrong. Hopefully it does for Chelsea. With PSG, I don't really care to be honest, but yeah, it could. But it could also go really right for you. I never said Mbappe won't start. If anything, I think he will, but it's not a guarantee. Andy says, I have my 12th man for the final. Hope I can use it then. Yeah, I think so too. My preference is the Maxman captain, but you've probably used it by now, so fair enough. World Superbike rider passed away yesterday at Magny Cours. Name was Borja Gomez. I actually like that circuit a lot. It used to be an F1. Yeah, that's I wasn't even aware of that, to be honest. like I said, a lot of negative news. Yeah, I don't think so either, FPL Bateman. Maybe you've got the news or something on Twitter. But yeah, I think that was kind of something that was quite obvious maybe from yesterday. That's why I avoided the Pedro Neto one. I was looking to buy him in my team selection, but I had to change that. Max captain or hold? I'd hold it. And either way, it's done now. The deadline is over. Mr. Pedro Ponce, or Ponce. Robert and Rudy says, this team I have is class. All right, calm down. Bench Mbappe, Gonzalo Garcia, Bellingham. Yeah, good team to be fair. I can see why you're confident, but you just never know with fantasy games. That's all I'm going to say. Palmer or Elise? It would be Palmer at this stage. Have Kane and Neto also. Yeah, one of my slight regrets that I think could be not having Harry Kane, especially if Bayern go through. And if they do, then he's one of my first transfers in for Matchday 6 for sure. I'm captaining Tosin. Well, you might as well captain a Fluminense or Al Hilal player first, unless you've got none of them. I don't think Madrid get past PSG. Yeah, I think PSG will go through to the final and face Chelsea, so that could be an issue for me going forwards. But yeah, I think for Matchday 5, getting 2 or 3 Madrid players is a decent play. I don't think Kane is essential, but he's one of the best players in the game for sure. But I've gone for something a little bit different. Yeah, well, the lineup should be out now because it's 1 hour before the kickoff. So I'll read out the Fluminense lineup now. So let's see. I did read out Al Hilal's earlier. So Fluminense are going for Fabio, Samuel Javier, Thiago Silva, Ignacio, Gabriel Fuentes, Freites, Bernal, Martinelli, Nonato, and Germán Cano with Arias up front. And then, yeah, you can see there, Nasser Al-Dawsari is starting for Al Hilal, but Salem Al-Dawsari, the one I was kind of backing, yeah, he got an injury against Pachuca. He scored in that game, but he is out for the rest of the tournament, it looks like. Bono in goal, Koulibaly, Cancelo, Al-Harbi, Lodi, Neves, Al-Dawsari, Milinkovic-Savic, Kanu, and Malcolm with Leonardo up front. I keep saying Leandro sometimes. But yeah, that was all covered. We can close this now and rest because that is another deadline chalked off. Only 2 more to go. And I will be doing a best wildcard squad for Matchday 6 and also my team selection. The same goes for Matchday 7 as well, where essentially it would just be the best team for the Club World Cup final. I mean, I'll go back to my team. So this is my final squad. The first set of hits I've been taking, I wonder what that means for my rank. It probably means I'm now below 20k, but hopefully the players I buy in are the right ones and I can make up the lost points there in the process. I was very close to making a few different moves here. Let's see how that looks. So yeah, I was considering a few different avenues like buying Mbappe and Harry Kane up front. In the end, I've gone for neither, for better or worse. So yeah, that is all done and dusted. I did a -6. Let's go locked. Yeah, that was the poll I wanted to put out as well about the hits. So that's none, -3, -6, -9, and I mean, does anyone, take in more? Went for Malcolm, Lodi, Bono, and Delap. Yeah, 3 Al Hilal players there. Malcolm could be a nice differential. Kane is the talisman at Munich. If you have one, he's the Munich player you want. Yeah, but I had him in Matchday 1, mate, and in the 10-0 win, he did nothing. So, yeah, the deadline is gone. Yeah, I actually did see that, Breezy. Yeah, no comment. Yeah, I did say that Godhead. It was the first name I mentioned, even though I think as an overall player, you could say Lahm and Zanetti are better because they were really good defensively. But That is certainly debatable. Yeah, Roberto Carlos. I was kind of talking about right backs more so, but yeah, the same applies to the left-hand side. I mean, Nuno Mendes is the best right now, and he's a very good player, but yeah, before you had Roberto Carlos, Ashley Cole, yeah, there's a big difference in quality. And that's not just a nostalgic thing. Dixon in the early 90s, yeah, I think it was a solid fullback. Probably not on the same level, nowhere near as Zanetti and all these other players I mentioned, but he was good. Ahmed says -3. Dragon says -6 here. I should have gone for a -9, only one keeper. Well, kind of similar to me, -9 hit taken. Could have gone for a -12. And look at that, -3 was the most popular. Yeah, not that many taking massive hits like myself. -3 on one goalkeeper. Yeah, that's not too bad. Used my max captain in the first game. Yes, I wish I did as well. Took a -12 hit. Hopefully it pays off. Yeah, hopefully. With 4 Al Hilal, 4 PSG, 2 Madrid, 3 Bayern, 1 Dortmund and Chelsea. That's surprising. With the Chelsea one anyway. Yeah, good team there, Meta. Looks solid. I do like Courtois overall. I think for Matchday 5 you're in a decent place. And we'll see what the results are saying and how that impacts you for future rounds too. Daniel Turon, or Turon, says I had to switch Al Dawsari last minute, so I only had time to land on Nonato. Well, you never know. You might have stumbled upon something a little bit fortunate and, you know, done a masterstroke. Who knows? Who knows? John Walker, go with Hilal player for now and then change it after the game if they don't perform well. Exactly. For everyone who is still here, captain a Fluminense or Al Hilal player first, then you can switch it to a Chelsea or Palmeiras player at 2 AM in the UK, and then keep switching it if you're not happy with the captaincy score. Marcus Leonardo played 160 minutes 3 days ago. Wonder how many minutes he plays today. Yeah, that is true. He was also suffering with some problems there, so he was a bit of a doubt for Matchday 5. I might end up going for Hermangano and going for something a little bit differential in left field. Easy says, still on my team, Donnarumma, Cucurella, Svensson, Hakimi, Arias, Pedro Neto, Kvaratskhelia, Elise and Kane. Good players to have, in my opinion. Okay, one more poll I'm going to put out, and probably the last one. We appreciate you, Dylan, aka Mark. Yeah, I'm not Mark from Severance, but thank you very much for your very kind words. So yeah, the last one is captaincy. Who are you captaining in the first game? So we're going to put Hermangano. We're going to put Leonardo, Arias, and maybe Cancelo. I think that's fair to say. They're the kind of most popular options from the lot. No hits and only Sanchez as goalkeeper. Yeah, probably the best goalkeeper in isolation for Matchday 5, but who knows, maybe Palmeiras do the unthinkable. Thanks was late but got informed and good information too. I'm glad to hear it, Andy. And yeah, it can be a bit awkward with the timings as well. And we didn't get maybe as much information as we would have wanted, like will Ousmane Dembele start, same with Kylian Mbappe. All we can do is give an informed opinion, or maybe not, just an educated guess. Tustapaki says -6. I panicked. I have Doué, Donnarumma, Hakimi, Cucurella, Cancelo, Trent, Kvaratskhelia, Palmer, Elise, Doué, Canos, Hermangano, Leonardo, bench, Anton Garassi, and the real Bellingham, or Real. Yeah, nice. Pretty good. Yeah, the plan is to watch the Al Hilal Fluminense game, but depends how interesting it is. Maybe I'll just zone out and do something else. Shane Maher says, good luck all. Likewise. Silver captain, so let's hope for a clean sheet and a bullet header. Not so sure. I mean, I've got Leonardo and Arias. I've got Cano. So I'm kind of hoping for a lot of goals in that game. You don't have a no-hit option in the poll. Yeah, but that's just kind of directed for people who took hits. Football Freak says, I've got Hakimi, Kvaratskhelia, Vitinha and Kane. Which is the best captaincy option? Captain of Fluminense or Palmeiras, Fluminense or Al Hilal player first. I've mentioned that before. From that game, my favourite would be, I think it would be Kvaratskhelia. I've got a good feeling about Doué, actually. So if I need to captain a PSG or Bayern player, I might go to Doué myself. Wow, SM says more than a -12. Interesting. -6 here says Shane. Lucas is -12. Yeah, covered that. Wildcard active, new players. Bono, Cancelo, Marcus, Leonardo, Trent, Jude Bellingham, Paulinho. Yeah, Paulinho has been a substitute mainly, but he's still doing the business in limited game time. I wanted to get Vinicius or Mbappe, but could not get the damn budget to work. Arias way more expensive than I thought. Yeah, he's 6.2 million, just like Enzo Fernandez. I was very close to getting him as well. I might have some regrets about not doing that, and then also buying Kane and Mbappe up front, but who knows. -6 and 1 goalkeeper, not too bad. I was on a wild card. Enjoy. Didn't have a minus transfer, so I had 11 starters, so replaced the bench with 4. Yeah, that was ideal, I think. Captain Neves for me. Yeah, he's a good option. I like him. In this poll, Leonardo is winning quite comfortably, actually. Arias is second. Herman Cano is third. Actually, no, he's last. Cancelo is third. -6 kept Piquerez. I don't have anyone from the first game. Fair enough. I always like having that sort of thing because it gives you another captaincy option and it maximizes your chances of nailing it on. Malcolm captain locked, says Fenerbahce. All the best. Well, Daniel, I can't put more than 4 options, and I think I've addressed the kind of most popular ones there. Nonata would have like 1%, I think, of the vote anyway. Silver captain, so let's hope for a clean sheet. I covered that. Am I getting the same questions again, or I don't know what's happening. Maybe that was a repeat. Mbappe is expected to start. Honestly, I couldn't tell you or guarantee either way. I think Mbappe will start, and I don't think Dembele will. From the predicted lineups I've seen, some think that Dembele will start, but it's 50-50 almost, so it's hard to tell. I've avoided both of them as a result. So Cano, Leonardo, Cucurella, Cancelo, Bellingham, and Palmer. Out, Piquerez, Bellingham, Aït-Nouri, Di Maria, Haaland, Igor Jesus. Okay, yeah. Interesting. I like all the players you brought in, so no complaints there. Hey Dylan, hope you're doing well. Not playing this game because I'm busy with studies and want to spend a bit of time with family. We'll watch your FPL videos once the game is out. Yeah, I appreciate it. All the best for your studies. Burnley closing in on the Kyle Walker transfer. That seems ridiculous, right? But his level has dropped massively. Easy says, I'm also playing the UEFA Women Fantasy game. Yeah, I was asked about covering it, but I was very honest saying, look, my knowledge on women's football is nowhere near good enough for me to make content on it, and I'm not playing the game myself. I had Arias in the group stages. I only had him in Matchday 3, and he was disappointing in terms of goals and assists. I don't play fan teams, so I can't show you something I don't have. 160k players play FIFA Club World Cup. I think it's a little bit more than that. It might be 200,000 now, because I'm fairly sure it was 170, 180,000 like 2 weeks ago. But maybe I'm wrong about that. 70,000 players are playing UEFA Women's Fantasy. And that's a decent amount, to be fair. And I think with the World Cup, if they do one for the Women's World Cup, that will be even more popular. We could see a few 100,000 there. I took a -3 to get Renan Lodi on the deadline, and he isn't in my team this week, but he is for the next round. Yes, maybe what happened is, if the clock already struck and it was 7 PM in the UK, then yeah, basically what you did is make a transfer for Matchday 6 instead. So I couldn't really say either way and make a judgment because I'm not sure when the time was exactly. You said right on deadline, but if it was even a second afterwards, then that would be for Matchday 6, not Matchday 5. Be Honourable says -6 cost me 2k places only. I just locked. Lots of hits being taken. It also depends which rank you're at. I think for those that are like top 1k or something, I think a -6 or 9 could be quite costly. Maybe you are, and you know that's good to hear if it's not affecting your rank too much. So the wildcarders will gain an advantage, but maybe not as big as they thought. Who knows? I can't really judge yet because the match day hasn't even started, and yeah, I haven't even seen my new rank actually. I'm kind of scared to check. Should I check? Maybe I will. Let's do that. So I was at 14,000. Yeah, I've gone down by like 3,000 places. It's not that bad. With a -9 hit. I'll take it. I'll bloody take it. If that was FPL, I would have like halved my rank or doubled my rank, technically. But yeah. You'll see my updated ranks and stuff for future rounds very soon. Yeah, unfortunately, the internet seems a bit iffy today. Chelsea Blues 99 says, I missed the deadline. I don't blame you. I only know the women players due to the EAFC game. Yeah, I only know the Arsenal players a little bit. I watched that final between them and Barcelona. Yeah, that's about it. But I still took the -3, which I don't get. Oh, right. Yeah, that is awkward then. So you're sure that you made, you know, your 4 free transfers, and then you wanted to get Lodi in. It counted as a -3 hit, but the transfer's only for next week. Maybe refresh your page, by the way, for your current matchday squad. But yeah, if it's still not there, I don't know what else to tell you. This game has had a few glitches, unfortunately. Yeah, in my case, be honourable, I went from 14 to 17k, basically. Yeah. But I did take a -9. I was ranked 1.4k, but hits have taken me to 1.8. That's not too bad. Yeah, that's not too bad. I only lost 1k rank for -6. Well, enjoy. Tiger says, yes, super weird. I think it is. I haven't heard that before amongst all the other problems this game has experienced, or let's say the issues we've experienced in this game. But yeah, still trying to have fun with it. It is what it is. Yeah. I'm glad the women's game is getting more eyes on it. Football is for everyone. Yeah, that is true. I'll be honest, I only watch men's football. But, you know, at least the women's football team for Arsenal can do something. They can win the Champions League not just once, but twice. The only English team to do so. Hopefully the men's team can follow suit one day. As much as I did not want this Club World Cup, it's actually been all right. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, Bayern Munich PSG is a great game on paper. We'll see if it lives up to the hype, but the game being played at 12 p.m. with those conditions could be a big problem. And there have been some issues, of course, with, you know, games being suspended, weather conditions and stuff. Hopefully we don't see that in the World Cup next year. Though potentially, what AI take over FPL team? Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, no comment. I mean, we have seen AI kind of like suggestions and stuff with all these different websites. I mean, from that perspective, it's not that shabby. I mean, you're kind of paying for a service, and yeah, like there's kind of a grey area because you could be like, well, if it's already in those websites and FPL just have their own version, what's the problem with it? But I think some people will just resort to just using AI like they do with Grok and all this stuff, and what's the other one, ChatGPT, to write their essays and stuff, and they might win the whole game because of AI. I mean, yeah, that's not great. But then you've got a lot of people who copy, you know, content creators anyway, or just other people. I didn't do women's Euros fantasy, just too much. I do so many in the actual season, I just can't. Yeah, there's also F1 fantasy, which I'm also doing, and, you know, it's kind of remember all the deadlines and stuff. It's impossible. The only ones I remember is the ones I do content for. Yeah, well, we'll see how it goes, easy. I might kind of like use it to see what they recommend, but I don't always follow what the AI recommend. AI, fuck off. Our brains will fall off out of our ass if we use it for everything. I agree. Do I need ChatGPT to wipe my ass? Yeah, well, that's a good way of summing it up. I do agree, to be fair. PSG play indoors with aircon until the final whistle. Yeah, someone else mentioned that the stadium has aircon and all that stuff. Yeah, maybe it's not going to be too bad. Maybe. Hopefully it isn't. Google AI is odd and might hinder people. I mean, a lot of times recently I've been searching for queries and, you know, issues and stuff like that I've been having with technology, and I put it on Google, then I get like an AI response, and it has been quite useful, but yeah, not for everything. I think that's a little bit too much. On a -6 already, says Gary. Well, yeah, the deadline is locked, so you can't take any more hits anyway. I took a -9, and it does seem like a lot of people have taken hits in this match day. The ranks haven't changed too much from what I've seen. AI versus 10 million in FPL next season. AI wins the entire thing. Yeah, forget about 100 humans versus a gorilla. How about 10 million FPL managers versus AI? Fenerbahce says, being going for more differential players and having fun after I had like 12 million left in the bank at the weird Game Week 1 deadline. Reece James, 19-point captain, was quite nice last week. Wow, fair play. Yeah, I think after match day 1 as well, I felt the same way. Like, I wanted to make 4 or 5 changes minimum. I couldn't do so because of this dodgy deadline. No point taking it seriously or being emotionally invested. Obviously, I still want to do well, but if not, then okay, move on. Yeah, lots of streams have averaged -9s. Interesting. Yeah, I almost took a -12 to be fair. Mr. Parky says, people that use it for essays should be careful. I am a teacher. It hallucinates and makes big mistakes sometimes. Add stuff that is wrong or not in the doc. Yeah, and also, for example, if you're like in the UK and you use ChatGPT, I haven't done it by the way, it will use a lot of American English. And people are just lazy. They're just like, oh yeah, it's done it for me. And they just hand it in without checking it through themselves. And what I would do if I was still in school and stuff is reword stuff. So maybe the points are made, the structure's there, but I would maybe change things so it looks more natural and human. But not everyone uses their brain. Does La Liga have a fantasy league? I don't think so, but the Bundesliga does, Serie A, the Championship, I think. So there are a lot of different fantasy games flying around, but not La Liga yet. Yeah, Liverpool retiring the number 20 shirt forever. It is also quite fitting. Diogo Jota helped them win their 20th league title. Easier to win when no one can be bothered playing, says Gary. Yeah, maybe. But, I mean, the point of fantasy games and stuff is, you know, you make decisions, you laugh about your kind of bad calls, your bad luck as well. You celebrate the good moments, your differentials doing well, and just have fun with it. Is it fun copying someone else? I don't think so. Is it fun just using AI, say, what transfer should I make? Okay, I'm going to sell Cole Palmer for Salah, and then just do it. It's boring. Come on. Maybe, Dylan, you should do a human versus AI challenge video series. That is a good idea. That is actually a good idea, to be fair. I mean, the AI, if it's up against me, we know who's going to win. I know people call me a robot. Yeah, I'm not a robot, unfortunately. PSG versus Bayern should have been the final. Maybe. But then you could say the same thing about Madrid. I just think one side of the bracket is much tougher than the other on paper. But as long as Chelsea don't win it, I wouldn't mind if someone from the left bracket, you know, won it. Like Al Hilal, Fluminense, or Palmeiras. Diogo Jota signed with Liverpool in 2020, wore the number 20, and won Liverpool their 20th league title. And won himself, yeah. Yeah, obviously a lot of 20s in there. That is true. He joined during COVID. People are lazy, leaving the common language, hyphens, and Americanisms. Yeah, no worries. It can be a little bit jarring on YouTube to write as well. I experienced the same thing, especially with autocorrect. Yeah, I think Arsenal will go for Rodrigo. Will they get him? Let's wait and see. But I think it's quite clear that Madrid are open to selling him now. And the good news with Arsenal recently is that not only do they want Rodrigo, but they want Eze separate to their striker and winger transfer targets, which is music to my ears. I've been crying out for a box-to-box or attacking midfielder on top of a quality winger who can add goals and creativity on the left, and also a top-quality striker. And it looks like Gyökeres is becoming more likely, but I'm not going to get my hopes up because Arsenal can let you down even in a bloody transfer market. World Fantasy Soccer has a nice fantasy game for everyone. So, okay, I haven't heard of that one before. Fun is humans. A bot has no emotions. Yeah. Which is why I say I'm not a bot. Maybe I am. Who was your favourite overall pick from the Champions League Fantasy last year, Dylan? Tough to say, actually. Not Garassi. I'll tell you that one for free. Kane got me 4 goals as my captain in Matchday 1. If only he did that this time for Club World Cup Fantasy. Favourite pick? Oh, Jesus. It's tough. I need to think about that one and look back at my match days who, you know, gave me those rank rises and, you know, those big returns. Di Gregorio, definitely not. Blažević, they would be like up there as my worst alongside Garassi. Diogo Jota, also a pro gamer. Yeah, he was pretty good at that. He actually won 30-0. I thought that was like an exaggeration. That's crazy. I think my biggest win online is like 15-0. 30-0 is crazy. Wow. Well, Gyökeres, I want him. I think he would score 20-plus league goals in a season in the Premier League. 30, 50 goals across all competitions. Maybe not 50, but I'd say 30-ish, yeah. Leonardo, Cano, Garassi, top 3. I am shiting myself. Yeah, no Kane, Vinicius, or Mbappe. Even Delap could be a good shout, but we have a lot of options still in that position. Set up a purely AI account versus yours. Yeah. And then I can claim that as my final rank afterwards, like a shameless twat. Andy says, fantasy is like Monopoly. Educated play is half the luck. Yeah, I think that's true. There is an element of skill though, especially if you constantly finish at a certain rank. But you also need a lot of luck, especially those that end up winning it or finishing in the top, let's say 1K, 100. You need things to go your way. Mohammed says, maybe it's not a big deal. AI is already in Fantasy Football Hub app. Well, that's what I was saying earlier, but not that many people will be using these different, websites like Fantasy Football Hub or Scout or, whichever sites have, this AI. In FPL, it's free and everyone has access to it. So someone who has maybe no skill in the game or, typically finishes, let's say 3 million and below, they might suddenly now do really well because they just rely on the AI. But let's wait and see how it goes. But it just seems a little bit too much in general. I'm talking about not just FPL, but also search engines, Twitter. AI is everywhere, and I don't like it. Dylan is the last second transfer bot. Wow, thank you. It's not exactly what I want to hear. 30-0 record in it's 30 games won. Oh, right, okay. That's still really impressive. In Foot Champs, right? It's now like 20 games in a weekend. Okay, fair enough. I mean, who has actually won 30-0? You tell me. It's happened, but I just don't know where. Yeah, I've done that in seasons, not in FUT. Not in Foot Champs. No way. Fell from 1.5 to 2.2k after taking a -9. Probably should have stopped at -6. Yeah, but it's not that bad. You probably thought you went down even more, right? To only go down by 700 places at that sort of rank is actually not too shabby. Decided to take a punt on Milinkovic-Savic. Well, we'll see. If it doesn't pay off, then it is what it is. But if it does, that is a massive, massive shout. Yeah, Mitrovic is injured. He picked up a problem on the 1st of June, I think, for Serbia. So yeah, he's going to miss the rest of the tournament, it looks like. But we'll have to be on someone else's name, or FPL get upset. Yeah, for sure. You can't have two accounts, pretty much. What mistake do you avoid in FPL, especially 5 early game weeks next season? That's kind of difficult to say right now. I'll give it some thought, maybe answer it in an FPL stream or video, but yeah, I think the most important thing is not to kind of knee-jerk and wildcard so early on if you have a bad start, and to give your players time. Be patient and don't just like... I know we always have that temptation to build up, transfer value or team value, and also you see a player do really well and you're like, I need to get him in. I think being patient and measured is also very important, and that's something I didn't have when I first started. Maybe arguably I've become too cautious and patient now, but I think it is a good approach for those that maybe struggle with it in the first 5 game weeks. Is Williams going to retire at Bilbao? Maybe not, but that seems like a really weird transfer saga, to be fair. Have a parade image of the boys on the bus and Diogo at the front having fun. RIP. Yeah, we also won the Nations League as well after saying that Portugal would. Yeah, I mean, life just changes really quickly, He probably had like the time of his life in the last 2-3 months, and then it just goes. Twisted Parky says, but it's different. Not everyone pays for AI. Yeah, exactly that. And they are more likely to use it for ideas. No, people will just pick for what it says. Yeah, a lot of people are sheep, unfortunately, and they're just going to use that to not really think, and just they'll see the AI as a way of winning their mini league or doing really well in FPL without actually putting any effort in. Twisted Parky says millions of players will just accept that isn't playing a game. It's like claiming you are driving an automated car. Yeah, that is true. It's crazy, isn't it? Crazy idea, Chip, for FPL next season? I'm always asked questions like this, and I like having Limitless. I'm not sure if that's a crazy idea, but I think that's a good chip to have. Maybe the all-out attack chip again. That's not crazy, but it would be unexpected after years of, being removed from the game. That'd be a nice reintroduction. Lots of us did better than a popular prediction FPL AI picked this season. Even that didn't predict some things way, or didn't pick up on a few starters. Yeah, and there's also, at times anyway, a big difference between expected points and what actually happens, which you could say is bad luck, but yeah, the algorithm isn't always spot on. But FPL's AI could be completely different to, all these other ones that you see for paid subscriptions. Add a countdown warning next season at 5 minutes would be handy for you. I just put an alarm or something or a stopwatch. Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, either way, I did these transfers on time, so it's not a big deal. But yeah, Gary's always policing my deadline stuff, which I kind of appreciate sometimes. So yeah, thank you to those that have liked. You can also do so on your way out. It would be appreciated. Morgan Rogers' captain was my favourite one last year when he scored his hat-trick. Yeah. I'd need to think about it, to be fair. Yeah, it wasn't my best season in UCL Fantasy. Still a good rank, but don't have as many fond memories of it as I would have had with previous seasons. Max captain is love, says Andy Burton. Yeah, I'm going to use him match day 7, I think. I'm prepared to take a -20 in my first week in FPL if my picks end up not working out. I don't think that's the way to go personally, but everyone has their own kind of play style, and you know, if you're enjoying the game that way, why not? But I just think after one game week, can you really take too many or draw too many conclusions or observations from one set of matches? I don't think so. And you could take a -20 hit and realize some of those transfers in, you know, aren't really the right solutions long term, or you get rid of players who actually end up doing really well in Game Week 2. Best chip for next year, sweet potato. Okay, fair enough. Did Bellingham get suspended for Dortmund? Yeah, Joe Bellingham got suspended. Jude is still available. AI already taking over the world. Maybe 2030 there'll be AI streams on YouTube. Well, yeah, that's going to happen. We're already getting AI videos with these robotic generic voices, even in TikTok and stuff, which I try to avoid as well. Walker to Burnley, I know, it's crazy, right? Who would have thought that 2 or 3 years ago? AI can't predict on the beach teams. Yeah, but maybe at one stage when they start refining the algorithm, they'll start, you know, adapting that into their system, and then it's curtains, I think, for the rest of us. Andy says, get the price rises. Yeah, but is it worth a -20? I mean, depends on the context, right? Which players you're selling and buying, but I'm not sure if that really justifies a -20 hit in Game Week 2. I'm just not so sure. If you spread them out over a few weeks and, you know, you're getting a lot of information and data and, you know, you're making your own observations, then fair enough, but I think it's very risky to do that. Okay, so Leonardo is the top shout for the captain. Josh says, hi Dylan, I went to eat. No worries. Who is the best Al Hilal player to captain? My favorite is Leonardo, followed by Cancelo, and then I would say a midfielder like Ruben Neves or Milinkovic-Savic, but Leonardo would be top. I know some people are mentioning Nonato and Malcolm. They're not too shabby. Yeah, no, I know it was a joke. It's the same, Bellingham can't play himself. This way we'll never know. No, I know that. I saw the comment. When the price will be revealed in FPL? Probably, I'd say next week we'll see some price reveals, and I think the game will launch in less than 2 weeks' time. And yeah, if that's the case, I'll be covering it. But right now, I'm still focusing on Club World Cup Fantasy. But yeah, for match day 6 and 7, it'll just be 2 more streams, probably 2 videos for each match day, and then FPL returns once more. Twister Parky says, I was really having a good FPL season, was 12k-ish in Game Week 32, but I went against the template and ended up 40k. Still a good rank though. Or whatever it was. Guy who was below me finished 5k. Yeah, sometimes it can go the opposite way, even if you kind of go aggressive, but there's no guarantee. You could have played a template and still gone down even further. You just need a bit of luck sometimes to see things out, or yeah, you just need to plan things and have things go your way, basically. FPL 25-26 now already out. Really? Yeah, that'd be a weird time to release the game. I don't think the game's released, and I'm certainly not going to do a stream now. But yeah, let me have a look. I haven't been on the FPL website in a very long while. Yeah, no, they're still... Yeah, getting ready. Yeah, like I said, I think less than 2 weeks' time, I think the game will launch, and we'll see some price reveals next week. But yeah, is it going back to a purple color scheme? We'll see. Either way, I'll be looking at maybe some new graphics or backgrounds and stuff. Thumbnails too. Yeah, no worries. I don't think it was that bad. Wei Seng says, any team stands a chance to stop PSG? Yeah, Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, maybe Chelsea, but I think it's more so Madrid or Bayern. I think the winner will come from the right side of the bracket. Andy says, obviously I wouldn't want to, but we need to punt and they sometimes not work out. It's just say the wild card is worth a -20 for double game mix, maybe. There's no right or wrong in FPL, and your -20 could pay off long term, but I'm just a bit unsure about the approach personally. I wouldn't do it myself, but I have done -20s and -24s in the past, and that's when I was really aggressive in FPL. I hope it isn't out. Yeah, no, I don't think it is. No white and green color. Yeah, we'll talk about that when the game is out. But yeah, color schemes, leave that to me when I make my content as well. Thank you, Gary. I love watching your videos. You are the best pundit around by far. Not every day I get called a pundit, so thank you very much, Gary. Josh says, thanks, I originally had it on Cancelo, but low-key I researched Leonardo's stats and it looks good. So I might change, since when I had Cancelo in FPL 2-3 seasons ago, I did a -4 for him and he got me a red card. I also captained him against Fulham, and yes, he got sent off. That was amazing, wasn't it? Yeah, Leonardo has really good stats. The only concern is that he had some problems against Man City, and he was a little bit of a doubt, but he was in training from a few days ago. Purple color with EPL logo in the app. Yeah, I'm not sure why they're changing it back, but maybe they're just kind of mixing it between FPL Challenge and the original sort of color scheme. Mohammed says fixtures is not helpful at the beginning. It's going to be a tough start for this season, and excited too. Yeah, I mean, I'll have a look at the fixtures and stuff and analyze them, but ultimately everyone plays the same teams. It's just the order. Also, maybe in terms of clusters, you know, the kind of timings to get in on Chelsea players, Arsenal, etc. But sometimes, you know, it's not all about fixtures. It's about form, and styles can also play a big part. I think sometimes Arsenal do really well against the big sides, but against the kind of mid-table teams who kind of do a mid to low block, they struggle. With company, Bayern can never be the tier 1 team. I don't think he's a top coach, but they've got the firepower to still blitz most teams in world football. Defensively, I think they have a lot of issues though, and that's why I back PSG to win. What do you think about City and Arsenal next season? Hard for me to judge because we haven't seen, you know, any of them in pre-season yet. Obviously, City featured in this Club World Cup. I think Arsenal is kind of an enigma, and a lot depends on their transfer business. But if they were to get Eze, Gyökeres, Rodrigo, Zubimendi, Norgard, Kepa, then yeah, I'd be more optimistic. But as things stand, I think Arsenal would probably finish third. Man City, I was backing them to win the Premier League, actually, with Liverpool second. But a lot depends on Rodri's fitness. If he is out, because he did pick up a problem against Al Hilal, I think I might even change that a little bit. But it all depends on that transfer window. Yeah, sure thing, Andy. And I'm not trying to put you off. I'm just offering my opinion. Twisted says, I was really hoping Piquerez will play Chelsea. Yeah, big advantage for Chelsea. And like I said, their side of the bracket, then you see these two suspensions. They would be gutted if they don't reach the final. Thoughts on Musiala? Seems like nobody but me is going for him. Well, his overall ownership is still not that low. I'm pretty sure it's 10 to 20%. I think he will start. Not a guarantee by any means, but I think he will start there against Paris Saint-Germain. First season of No Match of the Day, BBC can get screwed for so many reasons. Yeah, it's been a while though since I've watched Match of the Day. I used to always tune in. Lol, the fact you remember it was against Fulham means I wasn't the only one highly affected by it. Yeah, I've had a few of howlers in FPL, in every fantasy game, but especially FPL. How do you think the Brazilian clubs would fare in the top leagues in Europe? Depends. I think Flamengo in the Prem, for example, could finish top 8, top 10. I mean, to be honest, based on this season's Prem, I think they could have finished 6th or 7th quite easily. Goals go in from all over the place first 2 weeks of the season until it settles down a little bit. Yeah, and towards the end, especially in Game Week 38, you tend to get high-scoring games, but not last season, actually. Well, Norgard, if he signed alongside Eze and Zubimendi, yeah, he could be a decent squad player, but it depends on the context. I'll be honest, I'm not a massive fan of the signing, but in terms of like value, I don't think it's a horrible deal. It's just not someone I ever would have thought, yeah, I want Arsenal to sign him, even though he's a decent Premier League player. Fun fact, word pundit origins is from India. Yeah, I wasn't aware of that. I may play clusters this season and not all fixtures. I see some players doing that. Yeah, it's something I'll have a look at. I'll probably make like a preliminary draft using FPL.team and their predicted prices, but ultimately it doesn't really matter until the game is launched. City defensively sure have problems. They looked awful versus Al Hilal. one pass through the middle or over the top, and it fell to pieces. I also think the kind of lack of continuity plays a big part. They just kept changing their lineup every single game, and also having Rodri injured played a big part, in my opinion. But yeah, I think if Rodri stays fit and they have a settled back four, I think City could improve defensively, but they still won't be to the same level as Liverpool or Arsenal in that particular position. What's your favourite NBA team? I'll be honest, I don't have one. You know, when Ginobili was there, I liked, I guess, just for Ginobili, San Antonio Spurs, ironically, even though I hate the football version. Yeah, I guess LA Lakers. I mean, that's kind of generic, isn't it? Boring, but I don't really have a favourite team. I just like players, and I support the Argentinian national team in the Olympics and the World Cup. First 5 game mix this season will determine the rank of the season of FPL managers. I don't think so. It will have a big impact, but it doesn't determine it. You could have a bad start and still finish off really strongly. Buying Aït-Nouri and moving Gvardiol to centre-back is awful. Yeah, I think Gvardiol can still play left-back, and yeah, I think it is a bit of a strange one if Gvardiol is now suddenly always a centre-back. Your thoughts about Nico falling Barca? I find it funny, to be honest, and also very strange. I understand why Barca fans are upset, but I've seen some very questionable comments by their fans, which you always see on Twitter, to be fair. Dylan, I thought the deadline was at kickoff. No, it's not. I've covered this multiple times, mate. In Matchday 1, the deadline was 2 hours before kickoff, and it was 1 hour before the original deadline. In the rules section, it actually said that it should have been at kickoff, but it was quite clear from the beginning that was not going to be the case. Since Matchday 2, the deadline has been consistent. It's always 1 hour before the first game kicks off. Andy says, I just didn't want to seem like I was arguing with you. Wasn't and don't. Yeah, no worries. It's not an argument, and it's your team. I'm not going to tell you, no, Andy, don't take the -20. That'd be stupid of me. Weising says, Gittins thoughts. I think it's a pretty bad signing, and I hope they are not getting Garnacho. Wow, that's from a Chelsea fan as well. I think Gittins has potential. He does seem quite inconsistent, and towards the end of the campaign, he wasn't starting for Dortmund, actually, most of the time. I think Pedro is a better signing than Gittins, but yeah, I don't think both of them are level raisers, in my opinion. Like, if Chelsea got Gyökeres, then I'd be like, wow, like, that's a big signing, and I hope they don't get him. Yellow flag Saka, what's red more now? Saka for the season is someone like to pick. He's more injury prone than he was, though. Yeah, a lot of the time he's just like yellow flagged for a given match day. That injury for 3-4 months is kind of like rare. He usually is like always available for Arsenal, but he has been overplayed, and hopefully Arsenal do sign a winger who can play both flanks and give Saka a rest from time to time. Late night Chelsea fun tonight. Yeah, it depends. I'll have fun if Chelsea are knocked out. If they get some points from me, I'll have fun from Palmer and Cole, I guess, but time will tell. Frimpong, probably my favourite FPL pick, especially Frimpong likely to be in the Salah role with Salah in AFCON. Yeah, in January that could be something to look at. I don't think Frimpong is a guaranteed start at the beginning. We could see Bradley get some minutes. I'm actually more interested in Kirkes right now, but that's something I'll assess and evaluate over pre-season and when FPL is actually launched. Evening, Dylan. Ruben Neves or Milinkovic-Savic? I prefer Ruben Neves, but they're both decent options, and the best thing about Milinkovic-Savic is that he has less than 5% ownership. But yeah, the deadline is gone. All you can do now is change the captaincy. I'd probably favour Neves. A minute of silence in every quarter-final game for the Club World Cup? Yes. I think also in the Women's Euros they're doing the same thing. We might even see it in other sports as well, maybe Formula 1 too. Wasn't Matchday 2 at kickoff? No, it wasn't. It was 1 hour before the deadline. Oh, sorry, the deadline was 1 hour before kickoff. Fenerbahce says, remember having a howler week when I had Luton's Adebayo captained. He was announced in the starting 11, then picked an injury in pre-match training. Yeah, I remember that. I didn't even have him, I think, but yeah, that is typical. I also had something similar with De Vrij in UCL Fantasy last season. I didn't captain him, but he was in that lineup, and then all of a sudden he was dropped. But luckily Inter Milan conceded anyway. That was against Feyenoord, I think, in the second leg. I'm happy with recent signings like Esteval and Delap. Not a fan of Gittins. Worry is worse than Madueke. Neutral about Joao Pedro. Depends on his performances. A decent squad player, but not a big upgrade. I agree. Great penalty taker, but you've got Palmer anyway. He's versatile. That's the good thing about him. And Joao Pedro does score in big games. The other one I was thinking about is Madueke because he's heavily linked with Arsenal. I'll be honest, I don't want him. He's got potential. He's a talented player, but I don't see him as a level raiser for Arsenal for sure. I think Rodrigo would be, even though I don't massively rate him right now. I think getting him and Eze, though, would be brilliant for Arsenal. AFCON in December, not January. Yeah, that is true. They have changed a little bit. Picked Vinicius, even Mbappe starts. Will he have the form? To be honest, though, Vinicius hasn't been in form all year, but I bought him myself for the same reason, to be a bit safer. And also, Vinicius has a brilliant record against Dortmund. He scored in the final the season before last, and of course, in the previous campaign, he got quite a few goal contributions in that 5-2 win. In fact, he scored a hat-trick, didn't he? I think so. Bono and Leonardo to play tonight. Yeah, the lineups have been covered. Leonardo's a good captaincy option, but also a bit template, I think. I might even go for Kermangano to be a little bit different, but who knows at this point. Depends on how far Egypt go. Salah would miss 4 to 5 games. Yeah, he's missing, I think, Tottenham and also potentially Arsenal. So that could be a massive boost there for the Gunners. Oh, sorry, yeah, Isugu. Yeah, no, I read that wrong. Esteval obviously will join Chelsea after the Club World Cup. We'll see how he does today against them. FPL Cortex says Madrid fan and Rodrigo has to go, honestly, for his sake. He's too good to be on the bench and he will likely go to a Premier League team and shine there. I've seen some Madrid fans like really grill him on Twitter saying he's crap, he's absolute shite, even in my YouTube comments. But I'm like, I don't massively rate him, to be honest, but I think he does a job and he scores crucial goals in the Champions League. So kind of a really weird reaction from a Madrid fan, in my opinion, because he's done a lot for them. But yeah, last season I don't think he was great. Cunha might be a good pick this season. He might also be a midfielder. One to look out for. I think Jeroboam could be a great pick from Game Week 1, depending on his price as well, of course. But there's definitely a lot to be intrigued by in FPL next season. I'll be covering that very soon, so keep your eyes peeled for that. The same goes for UCL Fantasy. And if you enjoyed my Club World Cup fantasy coverage throughout this tournament, then like this video, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you're always up to date with my uploads and live streams. And check all the links in the description for my Patreon and the championships. There's also my Discord server, the Club World Cup Fantasy League, X, Instagram, and Blue Sky. All of that is there. And for those that are still here, there is a little gift. I'm going to go for 5 more memberships, if I can even speak. I don't think I can. 5 more memberships? Yes, let's do that. Click this button. It's random, I promise. I'm not picking. So if you don't get it, don't cry. Okay, so let's see who gets the 5 memberships. So, Morpheus FPL, Pixel Pusher, who I think was awarded it recently as well, Thomas, Joshua Ware, and Claudette. Enjoy the memberships for an entire month. That will include not just Club World Cup fantasy videos, but also FPL. Unfortunately, though, I can't do it for a live stream because guess what? How can I go live 1 hour before? Unless it was a members-only stream, and then I turned it into public. But yeah, no OnlyFans or anything like that. I don't include Esteval because I think surely he's getting loaned out. Maybe. He's had a good tournament. Probably a bit too raw, so you could be right about that. And Chelsea love loaning out players, and they might just sell them in the end, but get their profit in the end. Why do I keep saying the same thing? Since you're on the topic of FPL, do you know when the new prices are released? No, I don't know. But I gave a prediction. I think we'll start getting prices next week. And I think the game will be released in the next 2 weeks. Probably less than 14 days. That'll be my prediction. So around the 15th of July or something like that. A Chelsea fan, I don't know why Chelsea signed more attackers and not signing defender and goalkeeper. Yeah, Arsenal have the opposite problem. Where you could argue they need to sign a striker now. They do. And they need a winger and attacking midfielder. And they're signing Mosquera, who, by the way, I think will be a good signing. Kepa Arrizabalaga, who, to be honest, I think is good business as well. But anyway, back to the point. I think Arsenal and Chelsea are kind of like the opposites in that sort of thing, but also quite similar, if you think of it that way. Salah at some point has to lose his stamina. But when? Well, it could be this season, could be next, it could be never. I'd say probably in 3 years, that's when you definitely lose it, but maybe that ages horribly as well. Rodrigo's better than Vinicius. I don't think so. I don't think there's a massive difference between those two, by the way. And I'll be honest, I don't massively rate Vinicius. Hopefully he shuts me up with a brace or hat-trick. But yeah, I think Vinny is better, but not by a massive margin. Andy, no problem. I appreciate it. FPL Cortex says, yeah, inconsistent from time to time, but it will be very interesting to see him play as a left winger, which is his actual position. Yeah. I think Gittins can play on both flanks, but on the left, he's probably a little bit better, if that's who you're referring to. Can't wait to join again. The streaming time is quite tough for my time zone recently. Yeah, it's always tough for you, to be honest. That's the disadvantage. But you're always here. I appreciate it. And a dedicated football fan. Why don't Bayern go for Rodrigo? Apparently they're in for the left-wing market for Diaz and Nico. They're also linked to Martinelli. And by the way, Al Nassr are apparently looking to offer 73 million. I'll be honest, I'd take that. And then use that to get another winger, get Rodrigo, Eze, Gyökeres, and then one more forward. But anyway. Send Rodrigo to Bayern and he'll score 25 goals per season. In the Bundesliga, I'd say probably between 10-20. In all comps, yeah, it could be 25 plus. Don't forget to hit the like for him too and subscribe. It's free. Thank you, Andy. Massively appreciated. And good luck, Twisted Parky and Josh. Thanks for the stream and congrats on everyone who got the memberships. Exactly that. Thank you, as always. I'm sure Chelsea will get Magnan. He is injury prone, but that is a massive upgrade on Sanchez, definitely. And that is, I think, the biggest obstacle for Chelsea in terms of transitioning from a Champions League competing team, as in qualifying for the Champions League, to competing for the title. Rodrigo to Barca. Yeah, I saw a tweet earlier. I don't see that happening. I think Barca would have to overpay to get a Real Madrid player. Top 5 highest priced player predictions in FPL. Well, Salah, Haaland, maybe in that order. I'd say Palmer, Saka, Wirtz. That's kind of my rough top 5. Am I missing anyone? Probably. Isak would be up there in the top 6. But midfielders typically are priced higher than forwards. I enjoyed Guirassí's brace so much. I didn't. I absolutely hate that guy, to be fair, but enjoy the points. There are rumours that Saudi teams want Martinelli. Yeah, Al Nassr's one of them. Maybe he can cook with Cristiano Ronaldo, his idol. Good luck, mate. Started watching your videos recently, and the structure was quite nice in comparison to others. I appreciate that, Fenerbahce. And yeah, I've seen your name recently and enjoyed the membership. That's a nice way to welcome you on board. Guirassí pulled through. He should have got a hat-trick. It's a good thing he didn't. How many more Chelsea need? Yeah, they're just going to keep buying. Keep buying and buying and buying. I think Rodrigo will leave with Xabi in charge. Yeah, I think so. I'd be shocked if he stayed. And yeah, hopefully Arsenal get him, to be fair. Cheers, Dylan. Always a pleasure chatting to you. A big FPL and UCL fantasy season ahead of us. Definitely. We'll see if any of those games have a format change or, you know, something a little bit different in terms of chips and something to make it a bit fresh for both newcomers and veterans alike. It's my birthday tomorrow. Can't believe I made it to this age, says Andy. Well, happy birthday, Andy. Even though it's in advance, enjoy the whole week. You've got a whole weekend to look forward to, so enjoy the birthday celebrations and, yeah, spend it with family and friends. Chelsea should target Mats. He needs game time for the starting position for the national team. Is that Mats ter Stegen? I mean, he was good back in the day. People forget. I think he is a bit disrespected. He won La Liga Player of the Year a few years ago, but he does have some howlers in him as well. No worries, Andy. Enjoy the birthday celebrations. Easy says, especially Real Madrid having a lot of players, Xabi probably have his choice. Yeah, but in the attacking areas, I mean, they've got Arda Güler, Mastantuono's joining, Mbappe, Vinicius, Gonzalo Garcia. But do they have a lot of depth? I'm not sure. Maybe you're right, but I mean, I don't know. If I was Madrid manager, I'd want to keep Rodrigo and, yeah, just keep that sort of squad depth in terms of quantity and quality. Chelsea should have 3 teams set for the League, Cup and Champions League with this lot of players. Yeah, on paper you're right, but you can't do what you did last season with the Conference League where you play your A team in the Prem, then B team in the Conference League. You do that in the Champions League and you'll be knocked out. And I think Chelsea could struggle with that sort of balance. I still think they'll finish top 4, but I think in terms of competing for the league, it might be a year too early for Chelsea, but only time will tell. You are the favourites, of course, to win the Club World Cup with your provisional route to the final. So thank you, everyone. It has been a blast talking to you for the past almost 3 hours. It has been a pleasure, and I'll see you very soon for more Club World Cup fantasy, FPL, and Champions League content. Keep your eyes peeled for all of that very soon. We do expect FPL to release in the next 2 weeks or so, and once it does, I'll be making content for that once more. Take care, enjoy the football. I'll see you probably for the Matchday 6 deadline stream. That's the next time I'll see you in a live stream. But before that, there will be a team selection and best wildcard squad for the semi-finals. Until then, take care, enjoy the football, and I wish you all the very best of luck in every fantasy format.